One day, my mother-in-law dropped a bombshell on me. She said that my husband was having an affair and that she was supporting him in this. On top of that, they planned to live together at the mistress's house. At my in-laws' home, my father-in-law was in a wheelchair and needed constant care. Despite this, my husband and his mother both left to live with the mistress. What they did was clearly unforgivable. Still, I couldn't just abandon my father-in-law, so I stayed to take care of him. As I struggled with what to do, my father-in-law suddenly stood up. My name is Linda, and I'm 30 years old. I've been married to my husband, Bob, for almost 3 years. In the beginning, our relationship was great, but now we don't talk as much. Is this what people mean by getting used to each other? The more we knew about each other, the more our love settled down, and we started living a more stable life. There was nothing wrong with our marriage, but it had become a bit boring. About a year ago, Bob's job got busier. He started working overtime and going on business trips, which used to be rare. He still took care of all the bills, and I had my own job too, so I couldn't always be worried about him. Sometimes, when he came home early, we'd have dinner together and catch up. It might seem from the outside like our marriage was cooling off, but that wasn't true. This was just how our life was. Then one day, I came home from work and found Bob there already. Normally, he wouldn't be home until after 10 p.m., but it was only 7 p.m. "Welcome back," I said. "You're home early, didn't you have to work overtime?" He responded, "That's not the point. My father had an accident and is in the hospital." According to my husband, his father had an accident while heading to work at his own company. A car ran a red light and crashed into him. Luckily, his injuries weren't fatal, but he ended up paralyzed in both legs and one arm, leaving him in a wheelchair. I couldn't believe it. My father-in-law, who loved hiking and fishing, was now stuck in a wheelchair. It was heartbreaking. He was always an outdoor person and would take my husband and me on trips to various places. He treated me like his own daughter and often said, "If you ever have any problems, don't hesitate to ask me for help." Now, hearing that he had an accident was hard to accept. My father-in-law owned his own company, but since my husband worked elsewhere, we weren't told right away about the accident. We only found out when my mother-in-law called us. In these times, it was difficult to visit him as often as we wanted, and it was frustrating. One day, my husband, Bob, spoke to me with a serious look on his face. "Linda, Mom asked me for help with Dad." "What does she need?" I asked. "She's finding it hard to take care of him by herself, so she's wondering if we could help." "You mean take care of your father?" I asked. "Yeah," Bob said. "Mom's getting older, and she can't manage everything alone anymore." "So we'd have to move to your parents' house?" "Yes, there's plenty of space there, and we could all live comfortably. What do you think?" I fell silent. I cared deeply for my father-in-law, but I couldn't just agree to something I'd never done before without thinking it through. "It's not that I don't care about your father," I said, "but I also have my job." Suddenly being asked to provide care, I'm not sure what to do. I tried to think of the best solution, but nothing came to mind. Sensing my hesitation, Bob took my hand and looked at me directly. "I need you," Bob said. "I know it's going to be tough since it's your first time, but I'm worried that if we leave everything to Mom, she'll break down too." "I think it will be hard," I said, "but I have my job." "You can quit your job, Linda. I'll cover all the expenses. Can you focus on taking care of Mom and Dad?" "Quit my job?" "Yes," Bob said. "I'll support us financially. That's why I need you. Our family needs you." He was practically begging me on his knees. Eventually, I decided to quit my job and take care of my father-in-law, just as Bob had asked. A few days after we moved in with Bob's parents, he suddenly announced, "I'm going to take over my father's company and become the president." Even my father-in-law was surprised, but he seemed happy that his son was willing to take over the business. With tears in his eyes, my father-in-law said, "Bob, I can't believe you're saying this after all the times you said you didn't want to work for the company." "Well, with you in this condition, Dad, I can't just let the company go. I need to step up." "Thank you," his father said. "I was worried about what would happen to the company. I thought I'd have to leave it to someone I trusted, but if you're willing to take it over, I'd like to pass it on to you." "I'll do my best, Dad. I'm counting on you. Please make sure the employees have a good working environment." "Of course," Bob said. Bob officially took over the company, and my father-in-law stepped down from president to chairman. Although the chairman usually has responsibilities, my father-in-law decided to let Bob run the company completely, keeping only the title. 2 months passed since Bob became president. Every day, He would come home late, usually past midnight. At first, I thought he was just busy with his new role and was working overtime, but working late every single night seemed strange. What really made me suspicious was the odd smell coming from him. One night, I couldn't sleep, so I got up to get a glass of water from the kitchen. I heard the front door open, and when I greeted Bob with, "Welcome home," I noticed a strong smell of soap coming from him. Bob looked surprised to see me awake. "What? Why are you up at this hour?" "I couldn't sleep. You've been coming home late a lot," I said. "Well, I can't help it. I've taken over Dad's company, and there's a lot I don't know." "I see, you must be exhausted," I replied. "I'm tired, I'm going to bed," he said, trying to leave, but again, I caught that strong soap scent. On impulse, I grabbed his arm and asked firmly, "Bob, who do you usually work overtime with?" "What? Why are you asking me that?" he responded defensively. "I just noticed a nice scent on you." "How should I know? I'm working hard, so stop asking me petty questions." His irritated expression only made my suspicions grow. As I wondered how to confront him, Bob let out a frustrated sigh. "Can you stop with that already?" Bob snapped. "I come home tired, and you start questioning me right away. That's not a nice welcome." "I didn't mean to, I was just curious," I explained. "So you're doubting me? We're living comfortably because I work like this every day. Do you understand that?" "I do, and I appreciate it." "Then cut it out. If you have time to talk about this, why don't you do some cleaning instead?" "I don't have time for this." With that, he stormed upstairs, leaving me alone. Later, when I peeked into the bedroom, he was ignoring me, playing on his phone. I tried to apologize, but he completely ignored me. The next day, my mother-in-law confronted me with an angry expression. "Linda, I heard you suspected Bob of cheating yesterday." "I didn't suspect him," I said. "I just asked who he was working overtime with." "That's suspicious enough," she shouted. "You're only able to live because Bob works hard. Do you realize that?" "I do, and I'm grateful. I was just voicing a concern I had." "Well, it was rude. What are you trying to do, make Bob uncomfortable? You're the worst wife ever." After yelling at me, she dumped all the housework on me and stormed off. My mother-in-law has never really liked me. In front of my husband and father-in-law, she pretends to help with housework, but I'm the one who does all the chores. I also take care of my father-in-law. My mother-in-law often finds excuses to go out and only comes home in the evening. My father-in-law, who mostly stays in his room, doesn't know how often she leaves during the day. Occasionally, people from the company visit him, but other than that, he rarely leaves his room. On top of that, my mother-in-law warned me not to tell my father-in-law or Bob about anything unnecessary. So, I had no choice but to quietly do all the housework and caregiving. What made it bearable was my father-in-law's kindness. Every time I helped him, he would thank me with a sorry expression. "Linda, I'm so sorry. You must hate taking care of an old man like me, right?" "That's not true at all," I reassured him. "I think of you as my own father," I told my father-in-law. "It's an honor to help you." "Having you say that makes me feel lucky," he replied. "I'm really glad someone like you married Bob." "Likewise," I said. "I'm glad to have a kind person like you as my father-in-law." In the midst of the hurtful words and actions from my husband and mother-in-law, my father-in-law, who needed me, was the one keeping me going. Every night, I would help him get ready for bed, wipe him down, and turn off the lights. But today, as I returned to the living room, I was surprised to see Bob and my mother-in-law there. My husband had a strange grin on his face, and I had a bad feeling about it. Then, my mother-in-law said, "Good timing. I have something to tell you. I'll get straight to the point. You should take care of your father here for the rest of your life." "Wait, what?" I asked, shocked. "I've decided to live with a new daughter-in-law," she continued. "Bob will be with me too." "A new daughter-in-law?" I was speechless. As if to mock me, my husband threw divorce papers in front of me. "I have a girlfriend," he said. "My mom and I are moving in with her. Whether you submit the divorce papers is up to you, but you'll still be responsible for taking care of Dad." I felt like the world was crumbling around me and collapsed to my knees. Bob and my mother-in-law started packing their things, leaving me alone in the silent living room. Tears started falling when, suddenly, my father-in-law appeared in his wheelchair. "Linda, what's all this noise? Where's Bob and his mother?" he asked. "And why are you crying?" I explained everything that had happened, and his expression grew serious. By the time I finished, his eyes had a determined look. He stood up quickly, shocking me. "Linda, It's time for a counterattack, he said. Huh? Your legs, I stammered. Sorry for keeping it a secret, but I've been able to walk for a while now. Leave everything to me. The preparations are already in place. My father-in-law pulled a large brown envelope from a drawer and showed me its contents. Inside were documents proving my husband's affair and, to my surprise, evidence of my mother-in-law's affair as well. He explained that after Bob became president, he had trusted employees keep an eye on him. They discovered that Bob left work on time every day, even though he always came home after midnight. My father-in-law hired a private detective to investigate further. He also suspected his wife, who frequently went out during the day, and had her investigated too. Both of their affairs came to light, and he had just recently gathered the evidence. He had been waiting for the right moment to tell me the truth. I'm glad we could talk, Linda, my father-in-law said. What do you want to do? I want to get back at them, I replied. Leave the rest to me, he said, and made a call to someone from his company. Soon after, my husband was demoted from his CEO position. I filed for divorce, as my father-in-law had suggested, using the evidence of the affair, through a lawyer. I also asked for compensation from Bob and his lover. A week later, Bob came to the house, likely because he had received a legal notice. In front of me and my father-in-law, he shouted angrily, Dad, what's going on? Just because I cheated, you're firing me as CEO? Shut up, my father-in-law responded. You didn't help with my care, and you hurt Linda. You're not fit to lead the company. But, Bob fell to his knees in tears, clinging to me. Linda, please, I don't mind if you retract the divorce. Convince Dad to let me stay. I'll break up with my lover. Please drop the compensation claim. Even then, Bob was only thinking about himself. I was completely done with him. I let out all my frustration. What are you talking about? Retract the divorce? No way. I'm thrilled to be free of a scumbag like you. The divorce is final, and everything that's happened is your fault. But I thought you were only using the divorce as a threat, Bob pleaded. I wasn't. I hope you, your mom, and your lover all go to hell. You need to stop expecting help from anyone. I threw him out the front door. From outside, I could hear him pleading. Help me, I was wrong. I won't cheat again. Please forgive me. Linda, Dad, please don't abandon me. Neither my father-in-law nor I responded to his cries. Later, Bob and my mother-in-law were sued for alimony. They broke up with the mistress and were kicked out of her home. Becoming homeless, they ended up living in a comic book cafe and working low-paying jobs. Their savings were drained, and they accumulated debt, leaving them in poverty. On the other hand, I continued to take care of my father-in-law. Despite the divorce, he kindly said, You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. Grateful for his kindness, I decided to continue living with him. Recently, my father-in-law has started going to a daycare service during the day, which allowed me to start working again during those hours. There will be challenges ahead, but I'm determined to do my best and continue caring for my father-in-law.
The doctor's words hit like a sledgehammer. I'm sorry, Mrs. Paul, but your chances of natural conception are less than 1%. Just like that, my dream of motherhood shattered into a million pieces. I'm Vivian. And until last Tuesday, I thought I had everything figured out. Stable career as a paralegal, loving husband of 5 years, and a carefully planned future that included a nursery painted in soft yellows. Now? I was sitting in my car outside the fertility clinic, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My phone buzzed. Jeremy's face lit up the screen. Hey, I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. I just finished at Dr. Marshall's. How'd it go? His tone was oddly distant, like he was multitasking. Not great. Can you come home early? We need to talk about our options. A pause. Too long of a pause. Sorry, babe. Big client meeting. We'll talk tonight? I swallowed hard. The IVF fund? We should probably discuss tonight, okay? Love you. Click. That evening, I waited with takeout getting cold on the counter. 8 p.m. 9 p.m. No Jeremy. His texts grew increasingly vague. Working late. Don't wait up. I checked our joint savings account, the one we'd been filling for 3 years, designated specifically for fertility treatments. The balance made me smile, even now. $47,132. Not enough for multiple rounds, but a solid start. The next morning, Jeremy was gone before I woke up. Unusual, but I was too drained to question it. I dragged myself to work, buried myself in case files, and tried not to cry when a colleague showed off ultrasound photos. 3 days passed like this. Jeremy barely home, barely speaking. Then Friday morning, I logged into our bank account to pay bills. $47,930 had become $243. My hands shook as I called the bank. "This must be a mistake," I said, reading off the account number. "No mistake, ma'am. The funds were withdrawn via wire transfer on Tuesday afternoon." "By whom?" "The transfer was authorized by Jeremy Shelton." I hung up and immediately called Jeremy. Straight to voicemail. I texted, "Where is our IVF money?" No response. I was about to call again when my phone chimed with a message. From Ivy, my younger sister. We hadn't spoken in months, typical for us. Opening it, I froze. A photo. Ivy in a white dress on a Venice balcony, Jeremy in a tux beside her, his arms around her waist, both beaming at the camera. The caption read, "Some dreams do come true. Sorry you couldn't make the wedding, sis." The room spun. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. Back at my desk, hands trembling, I pulled up our joint account again. The wire transfer. I needed details. The customer service rep had mentioned Tuesday, the same day as my diagnosis. While I'd been sitting in that sterile doctor's office learning I couldn't have children, my husband had been emptying our savings, planning to marry my sister. My phone kept buzzing. Congratulatory comments popping up under Ivy's post. Heart emojis. "So happy for you both." Even my father, who hadn't spoken to either of us in years, had liked the photo. I clicked through Ivy's profile. More wedding pictures. The venue, I recognized it. The same place Jeremy and I had looked at last year before deciding to put the money toward IVF instead. A new text from Jeremy. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. We never meant to hurt you." We, my sister and my husband. The fund we'd built together. My future, stolen in an afternoon. I opened my banking app again, this time logging into my personal account, the one Jeremy didn't know about, the one where I kept my bonus money. Hands steady now, I took screenshots of the wire transfer details. Something caught my eye, the authorization signature on the transfer. It looked wrong. I pulled up our mortgage documents with Jeremy's real signature. They didn't match. My paralegal training kicked in. Document fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, if they'd used my information anywhere else. I opened my work laptop and created a new folder. Evidence. The numbness was fading now, replaced by something else, something hot and sharp and clarifying. They thought they'd written the perfect love story, stealing my money, my husband, my future. But they forgot one thing. I specialized in civil litigation, and I knew exactly how to make people pay. My phone buzzed again. Another photo from Ivy. "Living our best life. Don't be jealous, sis. It's not a good look." I saved the photo. Evidence folder. Then I called my friend Heidi, the best divorce attorney in the city. "Hey," I said when she answered, "how would you like to help me destroy 2 people?" "Girl, this is way beyond a divorce case," Heidi said, spreading printouts across her desk. "This is criminal territory." I'd spent the weekend gathering evidence, bank statements, phone records, every digital breadcrumb my dear sister and husband had left behind. Now, sitting in Heidi's office early Monday morning, the pattern was clear. "Look at these vendor payments," I pointed to a series of transactions. "They used DocuSign with my signature, but I never authorized these." Heidi leaned forward, frowning. The venue alone was $15,000. How did they think they'd get away with this? Because they thought I'd collapse. I pulled up Ivy's Instagram stories. They're still in Venice, posting about their fairy tale. Meanwhile, I've found 6 different fraudulent charges. "You need to file a police report," Heidi said, reaching for her phone. "I know a detective who—" "Not yet." I held up my hand. "First, I want to talk to the vendors, see exactly what documents they have." "Vivian." Trust me. I spent my lunch break at Bella Rosa wedding venue, meeting with Rebecca, the manager. Her smile faded as I showed her the forged DocuSign. This is concerning, she said, pulling up their files. The booking was under both your names initially. Then Mr. Shelton changed it to just his and… Oh. My sister's? Rebecca nodded. He said you'd agreed to transfer the deposit to them as a wedding gift. We have an email confirmation from your address. An address I never wrote from. I handed her my business card. You'll be hearing from the fraud department soon. I suggest you keep everything. Back at work, I was organizing my evidence folder when Delilah from accounting stopped by my desk. So sorry about Jeremy, she said, not sounding sorry at all. I heard he left because he and my sister stole $50,000 and committed wire fraud? I smiled sweetly. Is that what you heard? Her mouth opened, then closed. No, I continued. Interesting, because I have proof of exactly that. Would you like to see the falsified documents? She scurried away. By afternoon, the office gossip had shifted from poor Jeremy to, did you hear about the theft? My phone buzzed. Another Instagram notification. Ivy posing in front of the Rialto Bridge. When you marry your soulmate, everything feels magical. I clicked through to the tagged vendors. The florist, the caterer, the photographer. Each one paid with my money, each contract bearing my forged signature. Time to make some calls, I muttered. By evening, 3 vendors had confirmed fraudulent payments. 2 more were reviewing their records. The wedding photographer already offered to send me all the raw files as evidence. My phone rang. Unknown number. Vivian? A man's voice. This is Detective Romero. Your friend Heidi called about potential fraud? I smiled. Perfect timing, Detective. I was just compiling evidence of identity theft. How much detail would you like? Start from the beginning. I did. The wire transfer, the forged signatures, the fake emails, the vendor contracts. And they're still in Italy? He asked. Posting every hour. Would you like their exact location? They're not very subtle with their geotags. He chuckled. Send everything to my email. We'll need statements from the vendors, too. Already arranged. They're not happy about being defrauded. After hanging up, I checked my email. A message from Rebecca at Bella Rosa. Found more documents. They used your credit card info for the final payment. Want the records? My evidence folder was growing by the minute. Another buzz. A text from my father. Ivy says you're threatening her. Stop being jealous and let them be happy. I screenshot it. Added it to the folder. Walking to my car that evening, I overheard Delilah on the phone. No, apparently he actually stole from her, like serious fraud. And her sister, can you believe? Let them talk. Let the story spread. At home, I opened my laptop one last time, logged into the joint email account Jeremy and I shared, the one he probably forgot about. There it was, confirmation emails for their honeymoon bookings, first-class flights, 5-star hotels, all paid with stolen money. My phone buzzed again. Ivy. Stop calling the vendors. You're embarrassing yourself. I smiled, thinking of the police report being filed, the fraud investigation beginning, the vendors reviewing their records. Oh, sister, I whispered, you have no idea what embarrassment feels like. But you will. I opened my evidence folder and created a new subfolder. Criminal charges. Then I started typing my official statement. They thought they'd written their perfect ending, but I was just getting started. My phone lit up. Heidi. Detective Romero wants to meet tomorrow. Ready to make this official? I texted back one word. Absolutely. Detective Romero spread the photos across his desk. They're not even trying to hide it, he said, pointing to Ivy's latest Instagram post, a selfie with Jeremy at a Venetian cafe, designer shopping bags visible in the background. Why would they? I replied. They think they're untouchable. Well, they thought wrong. He tapped his keyboard. The DA's office is very interested in the wire fraud angle, especially since it crosses state lines. A knock at the door interrupted us. A uniformed officer entered with a stack of papers. The subpoenas just came in from the courthouse. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca at Bella Rosa. You need to see this. She's trying to sell her wedding photos to a bridal magazine. I showed the detective. He shook his head. Evidence keeps piling up. Walking back to my car, another call came in. Unknown number. Vivienne? A deep voice I hadn't heard in years. It's Dad. My steps faltered. What do you want? Ivy called. She's hysterical about you harassing her vendors. This needs to stop. Interesting. I kept my voice level. Did she mention the stolen money? The forged signatures? She said you gave them that money as a wedding gift. Really? Want to see the fraudulent wire transfer documents? Silence. Actually, Dad, while I have you, did you know Ivy's planning to sell Grandpa's estate? The one you put in trust? What? His voice sharpened. She can't. That property is in my name, I know. But she's already contacted realtors, using a power of attorney document with my forged signature. More silence. Then, send me everything. Back at work, Delilah cornered me in the break room. Vivienne, I feel terrible about what I said before. I had no idea. That my sister and husband were criminals? I stirred my coffee. Funny how quick perspectives change. But how are you so calm? I smiled. Who says I'm calm? My phone buzzed again. An email from Jeremy's company HR department responding to my fraud notification. We take these allegations seriously. Mr. Shelton has been suspended pending investigation. Perfect. That evening, Heidi called. Have you seen Ivy's latest post? I hadn't. Opening Instagram, I found it. A long, tearful video. Ivy, mascara running, claiming I was destroying her happiness out of jealousy. The comments were fascinating. Half sympathy, half questions. But did you take her money? Why use her signature? Isn't that fraud? Ivy was responding frantically, digging herself deeper with each reply. Then a new notification. A direct message from my father. Just spoke to the family lawyer. The trust documents are solid. She can't touch the estate. I forwarded the message to Detective Romero, adding it to the evidence pile. My doorbell rang. A courier with an envelope. Inside, medical records. My fertility clinic documents with unauthorized access logs. Someone had viewed them the day before my diagnosis. Someone with the username, IVP28. My hands shook as I called the clinic. Yes, the administrator confirmed. Someone accessed your files using your patient portal. We've launched an internal investigation. Another piece of the puzzle. They hadn't just stolen my money, they'd violated my medical privacy. My phone lit up. A text from Ivy. Stop this witch hunt or I'll tell everyone why Jeremy really left. I screenshot it. Evidence folder. Then I typed back. You mean how you accessed my medical records illegally? Already documented with the police? No response. But 10 minutes later, Ivy went live on Instagram again. This time, she was angry, defensive. My sister's just bitter because she can't have children. Jeremy chose me because I can give him a family. The comments exploded. Not in her favor. She deleted the video within minutes, but not before I'd recorded it. My father called again. I've seen enough. You have my support. And Vivienne. I'm sorry. About everything. Little late, Dad. I know, but I'm here now. I ended the call and opened my laptop. Time to compile everything for tomorrow's meeting with the DA. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Rebecca. You should know. They're planning a big welcome home party next week. Rented our venue again. I sat back, thinking. A party. Where everyone would be gathered. Where they'd expect to celebrate their perfect crime. Thanks for letting me know, I replied. Then I called Heidi. Remember how we discussed timing the subpoenas? I think I know exactly when to serve them. The party? She caught on immediately. That's deliciously evil. No, I corrected her. That's justice. I opened my calendar and marked the date. 1 week, 7 days until their fairy tale crashed into reality. My phone lit up again. Another tearful post from Ivy. I didn't bother reading it. Let her cry. Let her post. Let her think she's winning. The clock was ticking. The welcome home party was in full swing when I pulled into Bella Rosa's parking lot. Through the venue's windows, I could see the banner. Welcome home, lovebirds. Fairy lights twinkled. Champagne flowed. Right on schedule, Heidi said from the passenger seat. Detective Romero just texted. His team's in position. I checked my watch. 8:15 p.m. Perfect. The vendors. All here, very eager to discuss their fraudulent contracts. Inside, the party was exactly what you'd expect. Ivy holding court in a designer dress, Jeremy working the room with his practiced charm. Neither noticed me slipping in through the side door. Oh my God, Delilah whispered to her date, loud enough for me to hear. She actually came. I positioned myself near the bar, watching, waiting. 8:30 p.m. Right on cue, Rebecca approached the happy couple. Mr. Shelton, there seems to be an issue with the payment. Jeremy's smile flickered. Not now. Actually, yes now. She held up a tablet. These credit card charges? They're being disputed as fraudulent. Heads turned, whispers started. There must be a mistake. Ivy laughed nervously. Jeremy, handle this. Actually, I stepped forward. He can't. Those charges were made with my stolen card information. The room went silent. Vivian, Jeremy's voice hardened. You're not welcome here. Funny, that's what the bank said about your wire transfers. The main doors opened. Detective Romero entered with 2 officers. Jeremy Shelton, Ivy Paul, we have some documents for you. Ivy's face went white. You wouldn't dare. Oh, but I would. I nodded to the detective. Just like you dared to access my medical records, forge my signatures, steal my money. She's lying. Ivy turned to the crowd. She's just jealous because what? I cut in. Because you committed fraud? Identity theft? Would you like to see the evidence? The florist stepped forward. Is that why my payment was flagged? Then the photographer. And my contract had unauthorized signatures? The caterer. The credit card company called about disputed charges? Enough, Jeremy shouted. This is ridiculous. Vivian's clearly unstable after her diagnosis. Interesting you mention that, Heidi spoke up. Since you illegally accessed her medical records before emptying her accounts. Camera flashes went off. A woman I recognized from the local wedding blog was documenting everything. You can't prove anything, Ivy said, but her voice shook. Actually, Detective Romero held up a thick envelope. These subpoenas say otherwise. Jeremy grabbed Ivy's arm. We're leaving. That would be unwise. An officer blocked their path. We have some questions about wire fraud. The party dissolved into chaos. Guests whispered and pointed. Phones recorded everything. Ivy's mascara ran as she tried to explain to horrified friends. But the money was a gift, she insisted. Show them the gift documentation, I challenged. Oh wait, you can't, because it doesn't exist. Jeremy tried a different approach. Vivian, please, we can work this out. Like you worked out forging my signature or stealing my fertility fund. More gasps from the crowd. Is it true? Someone asked. They stole her IVF money. And used it for their wedding, Heidi confirmed loudly. After accessing her confidential medical records. Ivy snapped. You're just bitter because you can't have children. The room went dead silent. No, I said quietly. I'm bitter because my sister and husband betrayed me. But mostly, I'm done watching you profit from fraud. Detective Romero stepped forward. Mr. Shelton, Ms. Paul, we need you to come with us. You can't do this, Ivy sobbed. It's our welcome home party. Consider it your goodbye party instead. As the officers led them out, The wedding blogger approached me. "Would you like to tell your side of the story?" I smiled. "Actually, yes. I have quite a few documents you might find interesting." My phone buzzed. A text from my father. "Just saw Ivy's live stream meltdown. You okay?" "Perfect," I typed back. "Justice is being served." The venue emptied quickly, guests fleeing the scandal. Only Heidi remained, grinning. "That," she said, "was better than any court drama I've ever seen." I watched the last police car pull away, Ivy's tearful face visible in the window. The best part? I picked up an abandoned champagne glass. "This is just the beginning. Wait until the DA sees everything else we've uncovered." "To justice," Heidi clinked her glass against mine. "To consequences," I corrected. My phone lit up with notifications. Ivy's social media followers were already reacting to the party drama, her perfectly curated image crumbling in real time. "Ready to go?" Heidi asked. I took one last look at the Welcome Home banner, now hanging crooked and forgotten. "Actually," I smiled, "I think I'm just getting started." The wedding blog article went viral overnight. By morning, Ivy's carefully curated social media empire was imploding. Her sponsored posts disappeared one by one as brands quietly cut ties. "Have you seen this?" Heidi forwarded me a link. Jeremy's company had issued a public statement. "In light of serious allegations, we've suspended all duties pending investigation." My phone rang. Ivy. "You've ruined everything!" she screamed before I could speak. "My followers are unfollowing me. My brand deals." "Funny how fraud allegations affect influencer contracts," I cut in. "Almost like actions have consequences." "I'm your sister." "You were my sister. Now you're just another person who committed identity theft." A notification popped up. Ivy had started another Instagram Live. I switched to speakerphone and recorded. "You don't understand," she was crying now. "Jeremy said he'd handle the money part. I just wanted—" "What? My husband, my savings, my life." "You couldn't even give him children," she spat. "I can. I'm all ready." She stopped abruptly. My hand tightened on the phone. "You're pregnant." Silence. "How long?" 6 weeks, she whispered. "I found out in Venice." I ended the call, opened my laptop, added this new information to the evidence file. My office door opened. Delilah stood there, looking uncomfortable. Your father's here." Dad looked older than I remembered, standing awkwardly by my desk. "We need to talk about Ivy." "Now you want to talk? After years of silence?" "I know I wasn't there." He sat heavily. "After your mother left." "Don't." "Vivian, please. Ivy. She always blamed herself for the divorce. Said if she hadn't been born." "So she punished me instead?" "She was jealous. You had everything together. The career, the marriage. And now she has my husband and my money." I pulled up the evidence folder. "Want to see how they did it?" He reviewed the documents silently. Forged signatures, fraudulent transfers, the accessed medical records. "Jesus," he muttered. "And now she's pregnant?" "You heard?" "Her live stream. Half the internet heard." He rubbed his face. "The estate she tried to sell? I never told her it was in your name. Your grandfather knew. He knew she was unstable." My phone buzzed. A message from Jeremy. "We need to talk about the baby." Delete. Another notification. Ivy posting again. A tearful video confession. "Yes, I knew about the money," she admitted on screen. "Jeremy said Vivian owed him, that she'd frozen him out after the fertility news. I just wanted my happy ending." "Save that," Heidi texted. Her admission of knowledge makes this even better for the DA. Dad watched the video, shaking his head. "She's unraveling." "Good. Vivian, don't ask me to forgive her." "I'm not." He stood. "I'm asking you to let me help make this right." My phone rang again. Detective Romero. "The DA's moving forward," he said. "But there's more. We found other fraudulent documents, insurance claims, loan applications. Send everything, I replied. After he hung up, I checked social media again. Ivy's follower count was plummeting. Comments flooded her posts. Thief! How could you do that to your sister? Fraud! Jeremy's professional LinkedIn was gone. His company bio deleted. A new email arrived from Rebecca. They're trying to dispute the venue charges, called their credit card company claiming identity theft. Ironic, right? I forwarded it to Heidi. More evidence. Dad was still there watching me. What happens now? Now? I pulled up the DA's filing documents. They face the music, criminal charges, civil lawsuits, public humiliation. And the baby? I paused. That's not my problem. My phone lit up. Ivy again. Please, I'm sorry, I never meant. Block. Another notification. The wedding blog had posted a follow-up article. Fairy tale wedding revealed as fraudulent nightmare. Dad read it over my shoulder. She always wanted what you had. And now she has nothing. He touched my shoulder briefly. Neither do you. No, I corrected him. I have something better. The truth. My phone buzzed one last time. Heidi. DA wants to meet tomorrow. Ready to finish this? I looked at my evidence folder. At Ivy's tearful confessions. At Jeremy's desperate messages. Yes, I typed back. It's time. Dad headed for the door, then turned. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. For fighting back. I didn't answer. Just watched him leave as another notification lit up my screen. Ivy's latest post. The full story. My side. Let her talk. Let her cry. Let her try to explain. The truth was already out there, spreading like wildfire, and it was only going to get hotter. The DA's office was cold and formal, exactly how I wanted this moment to feel. Jeremy sat across the conference table, his lawyer whispering urgently in his ear. Ivy wasn't here. Her morning sickness had become a convenient excuse to avoid difficult meetings. Let's review the charges, the DA began, spreading documents across the table. Wire fraud, identity theft, multiple counts of document forgery. Jeremy's lawyer leaned forward. My client is willing to discuss a plea arrangement. I'm sure he is, Heidi replied coolly, especially after what we found in the insurance files. Jeremy's head snapped up. Oh? I smiled. Did you think we wouldn't find those too? The DA pulled out another folder. Mr. Shelton has been filing false insurance claims using Mrs. Paul's information for the past 2 years. The insurance company is very interested in discussing this. Jeremy's face went pale. How many policies was it? I asked innocently. 4? 5? 6, Detective Romero corrected, entering the room, including a life insurance policy taken out 3 months ago. The lawyer stopped whispering. My phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Ivy's here at the venue, demanding a refund. Should I call security? Let her stay, I typed back. The officers will want to speak with her anyway. The DA continued listing charges. Each one made Jeremy sink lower in his chair. His perfect con was unraveling thread by thread. We're prepared to offer a deal, his lawyer tried again. No deals, I cut in. Full prosecution. Vivian, please. Jeremy spoke for the first time. Think about the baby. Like you thought about my fertility fund? He flinched. My phone lit up again. Dad. Ivy's making scenes all over town, says she's being persecuted. The trust fund, the DA continued, the one Ms. Paul attempted to access fraudulently, we've frozen all attempts to transfer or sell those assets. Jeremy's lawyer was scribbling frantically now. And the medical records breach, Heidi added. The fertility clinic is pursuing separate charges. This is insane, Jeremy burst out. It was just money. We were going to pay it back. With what? I asked. Your fraudulent insurance claims? The door opened. Another detective entered with a new stack of files. Sir, he addressed Romero, we found more policies, different companies, same fraud pattern. Jeremy's lawyer stopped writing. My phone buzzed continuously now. Messages poured in. Rebecca. Ivy's crying to anyone who'll listen about being set up. Dad. She tried to access the estate again. Lawyers blocked it. Heidi. Insurance investigators want to meet tomorrow. The DA stood. Mr. Shelton, given the extent of the fraud, we're revoking your bail privileges. What? No, you can't. 2 officers entered. Jeremy Shelton, you're under arrest for multiple counts of insurance fraud, wire fraud, and identity theft. As they led him out, he looked back at me. I never meant for this to happen. Yes, you did, I replied. You just meant to get away with it. My phone rang. Ivy. They're arresting Jeremy, she screamed. What did you do? I didn't do anything. Your husband's insurance fraud did this. Insurance what? Oh, I said sweetly. He didn't tell you about that part? Check your email. I sent you copies. She hung up. The DA gathered his files. We'll proceed with Ms. Paul's charges next week, though with her condition, no special treatment, I said firmly. She made her choices. Outside the office, Heidi hugged me. How does it feel? Like justice. My phone buzzed again. A news alert. Local insurance broker arrested in major fraud investigation. Then another notification. Ivy had gone live again, but this time she was raging at Jeremy. You did what with insurance policies? While I'm carrying your child? Send that to the DA, Heidi advised. Her public meltdown helps our case. A text from Dad. Ivy's threatening to leave town. She can't, I replied. Court orders, no travel. I watched another notification pop up. Jeremy's company announcing his termination, his insurance license revoked, his assets frozen. Ready for phase 2? Heidi asked. I nodded. Civil suits, every vendor, every fraudulent charge. They'll be paying this back for decades. My phone lit up one last time. A message from Detective Romero. Insurance Fraud Task Force wants to interview you tomorrow. They're building a major case. I smiled, thinking of all those hidden policies. Jeremy's secret fraud empire, crumbling under investigation. Tell them I'll bring everything I've found, I replied. Heidi checked her watch. The news will break nationally by morning. Good. I gathered my files. Let everyone see exactly who they really are. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's watching that truth destroy everything they built with lies. The mediation room felt smaller than I expected. Ivy sat across the table, her designer clothes replaced by a plain maternity dress. No makeup, no filters, no Instagram-perfect facade. This meeting is required by the court, the mediator explained. Before we proceed with criminal charges, we're offering one chance to discuss restitution. Ivy wouldn't look at me. 3 months of public humiliation had stripped away her confidence. Jeremy's insurance fraud scandal had destroyed any sympathy she might have gotten. Where's Jeremy? I asked, though I knew. Still in custody, her lawyer answered. The insurance companies found 13 more fraudulent policies. Ivy flinched. Let's address the immediate matters, the mediator continued. The stolen funds, forged documents, and medical privacy breach. I didn't know about the insurance stuff, Ivy burst out. I swear, Vivienne, he never told me. Like you never told me you were accessing my medical records? She looked down at her swollen belly. 6 months pregnant now. Why? I asked. Just, why? Because you had everything. She finally met my eyes. The perfect job, the perfect husband, the perfect plan. Even when you couldn't have kids, you still had Jeremy's love. And I was just the screw-up sister. So you stole my life? I stole your husband, she corrected. The money was his idea. My lawyer opened a folder. We have evidence suggesting otherwise. Your text messages planning the wire transfer? Ivy's lawyer shifted uncomfortably. The forged signatures on vendor contracts? I continued. That was your handwriting, Ivy. I grew up with it. I was desperate, Tears started. Right on schedule. Jeremy said we deserved. Save the performance, I cut in. Your crying videos don't work anymore. The mediator cleared his throat. Ms. Paul, your sister's legal team has prepared a restitution proposal. Ivy's lawyer reviewed the document. His face tightened. This would bankrupt her. Fraud usually does, my lawyer replied. I'm having a baby, Ivy protested. I can't pay this. Should have thought about that before stealing $50,000. She tried another angle. Dad said he'd help. Dad can't access the trust fund either, I reminded her. Remember? The one you tried to sell illegally? More tears. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Destroying my life? No. I leaned forward. I'm enjoying justice. I'm your sister. You were my sister, I corrected. Then you became a thief who accessed my private medical records to steal my husband. The mediator intervened. Perhaps we should take a break. No. I pulled out my phone, pulled up her Instagram post from that day in Venice. Some dreams do come true, I read. Remember sending that? Right after stealing my fertility fund? She looked away. You didn't just take my money, Ivy. You took my trust, my future, my chance at... I stopped. Breathed. You took everything and turned it into a social media spectacle. I'm sorry, she whispered. No, you're sorry you got caught. Her lawyer tried again. Given her condition, perhaps a payment plan. No deals. I stood up. Full restitution, full prosecution. She can explain to her baby why mommy has a fraud conviction. Vivian, please. Ivy grabbed my arm. Did you ever love me at all? I looked at her hand, at her chipped nail polish, at the sister I'd grown up with, fought with, loved despite everything. Yes, I said quietly. Enough to never forgive you. I pulled free and walked to the door. The DA's office will be in touch about court dates, my lawyer added. I suggest you cooperate fully. In the hallway, Heidi waited. How'd it go? Exactly as expected. Tears, excuses, pregnancy card? My phone buzzed. A news alert. Insurance fraud investigation expands. Multiple states involved. Then a text from Dad. Ivy called. Said you're being cruel. Send him the restitution proposal, I told Heidi. Let him see exactly what his precious baby girl stole. Another buzz? Detective Romero. Jeremy's talking, naming names. Your sister might want to reconsider that plea deal. I smiled. Forward that to her lawyer. Heidi touched my arm. You okay? I watched through the window as Ivy sobbed to her attorney. The mediator packing up files. The last act of a drama she'd scripted but couldn't control. You know what? I said. I actually am. My phone lit up one final time. A message from Rebecca at the venue. You should see this. Someone made a documentary about wedding fraud. They want to interview you. Perfect, I replied. Because some stories deserve to be told, especially the ones that end with justice instead of fairy tales. The documentary premiered at a small local theater. Love, lies, and larceny, a modern wedding scandal filled every seat. I watched from the back as my story unfolded on screen, alongside other victims of wedding fraud. You didn't have to come, Heidi whispered beside me. Yes, I did. My phone buzzed, a text from Detective Romero. Jeremy took the plea deal. 15 years. Another message followed. Insurance companies found 37 fraudulent policies total. He'll never work in finance again. On screen, Rebecca from Bella Rosa described discovering the forged documents. The caterer detailed the stolen payments, each vendor adding another piece to the puzzle of betrayal. Then, my interview played. I watched myself describe the fertility diagnosis, the stolen fund, the honeymoon photo that started it all. Some dreams do come true, I quoted Ivy's caption. That's what my sister wrote after stealing my life savings. The audience murmured. My phone lit up again. Dad. Ivy's moving back in with your mother. The baby's due next week. Delete. The documentary ended with Jeremy's arrest footage and Ivy's social media meltdown. The lights came up. The director invited me to the stage. "Questions?" she asked the audience. Hands shot up. "How did you stay so focused during everything?" I gripped the microphone. "Because justice matters more than revenge." "Did you ever consider forgiveness?" "Some things aren't meant to be forgiven. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way." More questions, more answers. Then, "What are you doing with the restitution money?" I smiled. "Starting a fund for other women facing fertility challenges, because sometimes the best response to cruelty is kindness to strangers." Afterward, in the lobby, a woman approached me. "I read your story online. It helped me leave my cheating husband before he could steal my savings." Then another, "Your evidence-gathering techniques helped me prove insurance fraud at my company." And another, "I was afraid to stand up to my sister's theft. You showed me how." My phone buzzed. A message from Rebecca. "You should see this. Ivy's baby shower registry is full of comments about the fraud case." Delete. "Ready?" Heidi appeared with our coats. Outside, a reporter waited. "Any comment on your sister's upcoming birth?" "No comment, but I have something better. Proof of 3 more fraudulent insurance policies we discovered yesterday." My phone lit up. The documentary was trending online. Comments poured in. Finally, a story about consequences. "This is what real strength looks like." "Justice served perfectly." A text from Dad. "Your mother wants to arrange a meeting." "No," I typed back. "Some bridges stay burned." Heidi linked her arm through mine. "The Fertility Support Fund launches next week. 10 applications already." Good. I checked my notifications. The documentary hashtag was spreading. More stories emerging. More women speaking up. "Ms. Paul," another reporter. "Any response to your sister's public apology?" "Actions speak louder than Instagram posts," I replied. My phone buzzed again. An email from the fertility clinic. "Your story inspired us. We're offering discounted IVF to fraud victims." I forwarded it to Heidi. "Add this to the resource list." Walking to the car, I saw my reflection in a store window. Still standing, still strong, still me. "You know what the best revenge is?" Heidi asked. "Living well?" "No." She grinned. "Making sure their fairy tale becomes everyone else's warning story." My phone lit up one last time. A message from Detective Romero. "Jeremy's singing like a bird. More arrests coming. You started something bigger than you know." I smiled, thinking of all the evidence folders, all the paper trails, all the truth finally exposed. "Ready to go home?" Heidi asked. "Almost." I pulled up my notes app, started typing. "To everyone who asked why I fought so hard, here's your answer. Some people write fairy tales, others expose them. This is a story about justice, not revenge. About standing up, not breaking down. About truth, not happy endings. They planned a perfect love story with stolen pages. I rewrote the ending. And this time, justice was the happily ever after." Post. "Now I'm ready," I said. Because sometimes the best endings aren't about forgiveness or revenge. They're about showing others how to fight back, how to stand up, how to rewrite their own endings, one truth at a time.
The note sat on my kitchen counter like a slap in the face. "Happy birthday, Freya. We're all at the Golden Lotus Spa for the day. Didn't think you'd want to join since you're always so busy with work. Love, Mom." I stared at the hastily scrawled message, my coffee going cold beside me. Of course they'd gone without me. On my birthday. To the most exclusive spa in the city. The one I'd been dropping hints about visiting for months. My name is Freya, and at 32, I'm the family disappointment, at least according to my mother's subtle jabs and my brother's constant reminders of his success. My phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil. "Hey sis," Ashton's voice dripped with his usual smugness. "Mom said she left you a note. We're having the most amazing time. You should see this place. The massage alone costs more than you probably make in a week. I gripped the phone tighter. Thanks for thinking of me. Oh, come on, don't be like that. You're always working anyway. Hey, did I tell you about my new investment? Just closed a deal that'll net me another $1 million by summer. That's great, Ash. Really great. I glanced at my laptop, where a very different kind of investment plan sat open in a hidden folder. Listen, I should go. My boss is calling. Still at that dead-end job? You know, if you just let me help. Goodbye, Ash. I hung up and immediately dialed another number. Marissa? Yeah, it's happening. Today. Oh my God, finally. My best friend's excitement crackled through the speaker. Meet you at our spot in 20? The cafe was quiet when I arrived. Marissa waved from our usual corner booth, 2 lattes already waiting. Happy birthday, by the way, she said, sliding an envelope across the table. Though I'm guessing it hasn't been very happy so far. I told her about the note and Ashton's call. Your family is literally the worst, she said, shaking her head. But are you sure you want to do this? It's a huge risk. I pulled out my laptop and opened the folders I'd been compiling for the past year. Look at these numbers. The Golden Lotus is hemorrhaging money. Lauren's been keeping me updated on everything. Still can't believe the owner's been mentoring you all this time. Because, unlike my family, Lauren actually saw potential in me. I took a sip of my latte. She's retiring. Wants to sell to someone who'll maintain the spa's reputation. The asking price is steep, but with my savings and the investors Lauren connected me with. And your family has no idea you've been studying spa management? I smiled. They think I'm still just a secretary. Mom actually told me last week that at least it's honest work. Meanwhile, I've been taking night classes, working with Lauren, learning everything about the business. My phone buzzed again. A text from my mother. Having the most wonderful time. Wish you could appreciate these things like we do. Maybe next year. Marissa read the text over my shoulder and groaned. They're literally taunting you now. Not for long. I opened my email and clicked send on a message I'd drafted weeks ago. I just confirmed my meeting with the bank this afternoon. Wait, today? I thought, I'm done waiting. I closed my laptop with a snap. They're all at the spa right now, celebrating without me? Perfect. Let them enjoy it. Because soon enough, they'll be celebrating in my spa. Marissa leaned back, studying me. You know there's no going back once you do this, right? Your family. My family needs to learn that I'm more than just Ashton's disappointing little sister. I stood up, gathering my things. I should get going. The bank meeting's at 2, and then I'm meeting Lauren to finalize everything. Freya? Marissa caught my arm as I turned to leave. Just be careful, okay? Revenge might feel good in the moment, but this isn't just about revenge. But even as I said it, I could feel the satisfaction building in my chest, imagining their faces when they realize the truth. It's about finally showing them who I really am. As I walked to my car, another text came through. A photo from Ashton of him and our parents lounging in plush robes, champagne glasses in hand. Living the life. Maybe someday you'll learn how to succeed like your big bro. I saved the photo. Soon it would be a reminder of the last time they underestimated me. Instead of heading to work, I turned toward the bank. Today wasn't just my birthday. It was the day I stopped being the family disappointment and became their worst nightmare. Lauren was already waiting in her office when I arrived at the Golden Lotus Spa. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see my family still lounging by the infinity pool, completely oblivious. Ready to make history? Lauren smiled, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. The bank approved everything, I said, pulling out the paperwork. Full financing, just like we planned. I never doubted you. She leaned forward, her expression turning serious. But Freya, there's something you need to know. The spa's finances are worse than we initially thought. My stomach dropped. How much worse? We're looking at about 30% more debt than the book showed. She slid a folder across the desk. The previous manager was creative with the accounting. I flipped through the documents, my hands trembling slightly. This could sink us before we even start. It could, Lauren agreed. Or it could be exactly the opportunity we need. The asking price just got a lot more negotiable. A knock at the door interrupted us. Ms. Lauren, your 3 o'clock massage clients are here. Through the glass wall, I saw my mother and father walking past, wrapped in plush robes. Duck, Lauren hissed, but I was already sliding under her desk. My mother's voice drifted through the door. Lauren, darling, what a wonderful day we're having. Susan, lovely to see you again. Lauren's voice was perfectly professional. I'll walk you to your treatment rooms. I held my breath until their footsteps faded. When I emerged, Lauren was back, shaking her head. This is insane, I muttered. I'm hiding from my own parents like a teenager. Speaking of your parents, Lauren said, they've been booking premium packages every month. Your brother too. They're some of our biggest spenders. Of course they are. Ashton probably expenses it all to his company anyway. I grabbed my phone as it buzzed. Another text from him. Just booked the executive suite for next month too. You should see these prices, sis. Oh wait, maybe don't look. Wouldn't want to depress you. Lauren read the text over my shoulder and whistled. Your brother's quite a piece of work. You have no idea. I showed her the string of messages from throughout the day. They've been like this for years. Every success, every luxury, thrown in my face like proof of my failure. Well, Lauren said, pulling out another folder, let's talk about turning those luxuries into your success. I've drafted a complete renovation plan. We'll need it to turn this place around. For the next hour, we pored over blueprints and budgets. Lauren had taught me everything about spa management over the past year, but seeing the full scope of what we were about to undertake was daunting. The staff might be the biggest challenge, Lauren warned. Many of them have been here for years. They're loyal, but resistant to change. I've been studying them for months, I said. Maria in accounting is brilliant but underutilized. James at the front desk has amazing ideas for modernizing our booking system. And Anna in marketing? She's wasted on basic social media posts. Lauren's eyebrows shot up. You've really done your homework. I had to. This isn't just about getting back at my family. I want to make this place even better than it already is. My phone buzzed again. A message from Marissa. How's it going? Did you sign yet? Before I could respond, voices approached Lauren's office. Through the glass, I saw Ashton walking with one of the massage therapists, gesturing grandly. And really, he was saying loudly enough for us to hear, anyone who can't afford this kind of treatment simply isn't trying hard enough. Look at my sister, always complaining about money, but she won't take my advice about investments. The massage therapist nodded politely, clearly uncomfortable. I turned to Lauren. How soon can we close this deal? She smiled, pulling out a final set of documents. Right now, if you're ready. I've had these prepared for weeks. My hands shook as I took the pen. Outside, I could hear Ashton still holding court, my parents' laughter joining his. Just think, Lauren said softly. In about 10 minutes, every treatment they're enjoying will be putting money in your pocket instead of draining theirs. I signed my name with a flourish. When do you want to tell the staff? I've called an all-hands meeting for tomorrow morning. Your family's booked until 5. Plenty of time for you to get out of here without them seeing you. As I gathered my things, another text came through from my mother. Just booked our next family spa day. Well, family minus you, of course. But you understand, this place is for people who appreciate the finer things. I showed Lauren the message, and she laughed. Oh, they have no idea what's coming, do they? No, I said, tucking the signed ownership papers into my bag. But they're about to find out. The staff meeting was set for 8 a.m., but I arrived at 6:30, pacing the empty lobby of what was now my spa. My spa. The words still felt surreal. You look like you're about to throw up, Marissa said, appearing with 2 coffee cups. Here, you'll need this. What if they hate me? What if they all quit? I grabbed the coffee desperately. What if... Stop! Marissa grabbed my shoulders. You've been preparing for this for a year. Lauren believes in you. I believe in you. Now you just need to make them believe in you. The first employees started arriving at 7:45. I recognized each face from my months of observation. Maria from accounting, her glasses slightly askew. James from the front desk, already checking his tablet. Anna from marketing, creative energy practically radiating off her. At 8 a.m. sharp, Lauren called everyone to attention. Thank you all for coming in early, she began. As you know, I'm retiring. What you don't know is that I've found the perfect person to take over. I stepped forward, my heart hammering. The room erupted in whispers. Wait, Maria said. Aren't you that regular guest sister? The one they're always talking about? Yes, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. I'm Freya. And I know what you're thinking, that I'm just some rich family member who bought their way in. But I've been studying this industry for the past year, learning everything about this spa, about all of you. I turned to Maria. You created an entirely new accounting system that corporate ignored. To James, your booking app proposal would revolutionize our scheduling. To Anna, and your marketing ideas are exactly what we need to attract younger clients. The whispers turned to interested murmurs. I have plans, I continued, to make this place even better. But I need your help, your ideas, your expertise. What about our jobs? Someone called out. Everyone keeps their position, I assured them, with potential for advancement based on merit, not seniority. And the first order of business is a complete review of salaries and benefits. That got their attention. For the next hour, we discussed changes, improvements, fears, and hopes. By the end, even the most skeptical employees were contributing ideas. Then my phone buzzed. Ashton. Hey sis, guess what? Just booked the whole family for a spa day next week. Even got you an appointment. Time to stop being such a workaholic. My hands shook as I showed Lauren the message. Perfect timing, she said. The ownership transfer will be public record by then. Freya? It was Anna from marketing. I couldn't help but notice. Your family doesn't know about this, do they? No, I admitted. They don't. Then I have an idea. She pulled out her tablet, eyes sparkling. What if we... But before she could finish, Maria burst into the room, face pale. We have a problem, she said. A big one. I was reviewing the accounts and there's a tax lien on the property. A hidden one. If we don't pay it within 48 hours, we could lose everything. The room went silent. How much? I asked. Maria named a figure that made my knees weak. That's more than all my liquid assets combined, I whispered. I might have a solution, James spoke up. But you're not going to like it. Try me. Your brother. He's always bragging about his investment strategies, right? What if we could borrow them? What do you mean? James smiled. Every time he's here, he talks loudly on his phone about his trades. I've been noting them down out of curiosity. He's got a pattern. If we follow it. I started. Brilliant, Marissa finished. Use his own strategy against him. It's perfect. But risky, Lauren warned. If it doesn't work, we lose everything anyway, I said. James, show me what you've got. For the next hour, we huddled over James's notes, mapping out Ashton's investment patterns. It was aggressive, but if it worked... I can't believe I'm doing this, I muttered, making the final trade on my phone. Believe it, Marissa said. And while we wait, let's hear Anna's marketing idea. Something tells me it's going to be good. Anna grinned, pulling up a mock-up on her tablet. Picture this. Next week, when your family arrives, They'll see something very special on all our digital displays. As she explained her plan, I felt a wild mix of terror and excitement. In 48 hours, I'd either lose everything or secure my revenge in the most spectacular way possible. My phone buzzed again, a family group text from my mother. Next week will be amazing. Full day of pampering at our favorite place. Freya, do try to make it this time. It's not healthy to always be working. I looked around at my new team, all of them now invested in my success, all of them ready to help prove my family wrong. Oh, don't worry, Mom, I muttered. I wouldn't miss this for the world. The next 48 hours were the longest of my life. I barely slept, constantly checking the investment tracking app on my phone. Following Ashton's pattern was like riding a roller coaster blindfolded. Up another 12%, Marissa announced, watching the numbers climb. We were camped out in Lauren's, now my office, surrounded by empty coffee cups and half-eaten takeout. Not enough, Maria said, tapping her calculator. We need at least 20% more to cover the tax lien. My phone rang. Ashton. Should I answer it? I asked the room. Put it on speaker, Lauren suggested. Hey, big brother, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Freya, you'll never believe what just happened. Remember that tech stock I was telling you about? Up 40% today. This is why you should listen to your successful big brother more often. I muted the phone and looked at James. Is that the same stock we... He nodded, grinning. I unmuted. That's amazing, Ash. Any other hot tips? Well... He lowered his voice conspiratorially. I'm moving heavy into biotech tomorrow morning, but that's probably too rich for your blood. Hey, you're still coming to the spa day next week, right? Mom's worried you're becoming a hermit. Oh, I'll be there, I said. Wouldn't miss it for anything. After hanging up, I turned to James. How much do we have in reserve? Enough to follow his biotech play, he said. But it's risky. If it fails... Do it, I decided. He's never wrong about these things. His ego wouldn't allow it. The next morning, I walked into the spa to find Anna waiting excitedly by the front desk. You have to see this, she said, pulling me to the new digital display wall we'd installed. I worked all night on the reveal campaign. The screen cycled through elegant images of the spa's services, but every few slides, my face appeared. Professional, confident, with the title Owner and CEO beneath it. These will go live the moment your family walks in next week, Anna explained. Every screen in the building will change simultaneously. It's perfect, I breathed. But first we have to survive the next 24 hours. Right on cue, Maria burst out of the accounting office. The biotech stocks, they're climbing. We crowded around her computer, watching the numbers tick up. 10%, 15, 20. Come on, I whispered. Just a little more. My phone buzzed. Another group text from my mother. Just bought new spa robes for everyone for next week. Well, everyone but Freya, since she probably won't come anyway. But they're monogrammed. Oh, I hope they kept the receipt, Marissa muttered. Suddenly, James let out a whoop. 30%. We did it. We actually did it. Maria quickly ran the numbers. With this return, we can cover the tax lien and still have operating capital left over. Lauren squeezed my shoulder. I knew you could do it. Now, should we call the tax office, or would you like to deliver the check in person? In person, I said. I want to see their faces when they have to remove that lien. 2 hours later, I walked out of the tax office with official documentation that the Golden Lotus Spa was fully clear of all encumbrances. My phone buzzed again. Ashton. Baby sis, that biotech stock just cashed out for a 60% gain. This is why I'm the financial genius in the family. Speaking of which, I just booked an extra-long massage for next week. You should see what these treatments cost. I smiled, thinking about where his money would soon be going. That sounds wonderful, Ash. I'm definitely coming this time. Really? He sounded genuinely surprised. Well, finally ready to live a little. Don't worry about the cost. I know it's probably way over your budget. I'll cover it this once. That's so generous of you, I said, gritting my teeth. Hey, quick question. What time is everyone arriving next week? 10 a.m. sharp. Mom's insisting we all get there early to make a full day of it. She's even making Dad wear the new monogrammed robe. Perfect. Just as Anna had planned. Back at the spa, the staff was gathered for a celebration. Lauren had brought champagne, and Maria was distributing copies of the cleared tax documents. A toast, Lauren announced, to our new owner, who just pulled off the impossible. And, Anna added with a wicked grin, to next week's show. I've finished programming all the displays. The moment they walk in, she demonstrated the sequence on her tablet. The entire staff burst into applause. Are you ready for this? Marissa asked quietly. Once it happens, there's no going back. I thought about all the dismissive texts, the condescending comments, the years of being treated like a failure. I'm ready, I said. 1 week from now, everything changes. My phone buzzed one final time. A photo from my mother of the new spa robes, monogrammed with everyone's names but mine. Perfect, I murmured, showing the picture to Lauren. They have no idea they're about to be wearing robes with their least favorite family member's logo on them. The morning of the reveal, I arrived at the spa at 7 a.m., my stomach in knots. The staff was already busy preparing, an excited energy buzzing through the building. Everything's ready, Anna reported, checking her tablet. All displays are programmed. At exactly 10 a.m. when they walk in. Show me one more time, I said. She pulled up the sequence. Elegant spa footage transitioning smoothly into my professional headshots. The new logo, and finally, the announcement of new ownership. It was subtle but unmistakable. Marketing materials are all updated too, she added, pointing to the stack of new brochures at the front desk. Your signature is now on everything. Maria appeared with a stack of papers. First month's financials under your ownership. We're already showing a 15% increase in bookings. Thanks to James's new booking system, I said, watching him demonstrate the app to a group of employees. My phone buzzed. Ashton. On our way. Mom's so excited about those new robes. She had them specially made by some fancy designer. Can't wait for you to see what real luxury looks like. Lauren appeared at my elbow. Are you sure you don't want to be in the lobby when they arrive? No, I said. I want to watch from my office. Let them process it first. Speaking of processing, Marissa said, walking in with coffee and breakfast, I brought fuel. You haven't eaten since yesterday. I can't eat. I feel like I'm about to jump off a cliff. More like you're about to push them off one, she replied with a grin. At 9:45, the staff gathered for final preparations. I'd given everyone specific instructions. Treat my family exactly as usual. Say nothing about the ownership change unless directly asked. They're here, James called from the front desk at 9:55. Just pulled into the parking lot. I hurried to my office, Marissa and Lauren following. Through the one-way glass, we had a perfect view of the lobby. Right on time, I muttered as my family walked through the doors at exactly 10 a.m. My mother led the way, carrying garment bags with the designer robes. My father followed, already looking bored. And Ashton, phone in hand, probably tweeting about his luxurious lifestyle. 3, 2, 1, Anna whispered into her headset. The displays flickered. My family paused mid-stride. What's this? My mother asked, staring at my face on the largest screen. Ashton laughed. Must be some kind of mistake. There's no way. The announcement text appeared beneath my image. Welcome to the new Golden Lotus Spa, under the ownership of Freya. My mother dropped the garment bags. This is a joke. It has to be. James stepped forward smoothly. Good morning. Welcome to the Golden Lotus Spa. Your new robes will be provided in your lockers, all featuring our updated logo. Updated logo? My father asked, speaking for the first time. Yes, sir. All of our branding was refreshed last week under the new ownership. Ashton grabbed a brochure from the front desk, his face turning pale as he saw my signature at the bottom. "This is impossible," he sputtered. "She doesn't have this kind of money. She can't even afford a basic membership here." "Actually, sir," Maria said, appearing with a folder, "all of your previous payments have been transferred to the new ownership account. Would you like to review the documentation?" My mother sank into a lobby chair. "All this time, when you said you were working." "She's in her office," I heard James tell them. "Would you like me to announce you?" Through the glass, I watched my brother's face turn from shock to anger. "Her office? You mean Lauren's office?" "No, sir. Ms. Lauren retired last week. Ms. Freya's office." My phone buzzed one final time, a family group text from my mother. "Freya, if you're really here, we need to talk. Now." I looked at Marissa and Lauren. "Ready?" "Are you?" Marissa asked. I straightened my designer suit, the first thing I'd bought after the ownership transfer, and checked my reflection. Gone was the timid sister they'd always dismissed. In her place stood someone they'd have to reckon with. "Send them up," I told James through the intercom. I heard their footsteps approaching, saw their shadows through the frosted glass door. "Remember," Lauren whispered, "you earned this. Every bit of it." The door handle turned. I sat behind my desk, forcing myself to remain calm as my family filed in. Their faces were a mix of shock, anger, and, most satisfyingly, fear. "Hello, family," I said, gesturing to the chairs in front of my desk. "Welcome to my spa. Shall we talk about those new robes you brought? I'm afraid they don't quite match our updated branding." The look on their faces made every second of the past year worth it. "How dare you?" My mother's voice trembled with rage. "How dare you go behind our backs like this?" "Behind your backs?" I leaned forward. "Like you went behind mine on my birthday?" "That was different," Ashton snapped. "We were celebrating. You were working, like always." "I was working," I agreed, "on buying this place. Every time you came here bragging about your investments, I was learning. Every time you mocked my dead-end job, I was planning." "Planning to deceive us," my mother said. "No, planning to succeed. There's a difference." I pulled out the folder of financial reports. "The spa's profits are up 15% since I took over. Bookings have increased. Staff morale is higher than ever." "Impossible," Ashton scoffed. "You don't know the first thing about running a business." "Actually," Lauren stepped forward, "Freya has been studying under me for the past year. She knows this business inside and out. You," my mother pointed an accusing finger, "you helped her with this betrayal?" "I helped her achieve her potential," Lauren corrected. "Something her family should have done." My father, who had been silent until now, cleared his throat. "The money. Where did you get the money for this? Would you believe me if I said I learned from the best?" I smiled at Ashton. "Your investment strategies are quite effective when properly documented. Thanks for all those loud phone calls in the lobby." Ashton's face went from red to purple. "You spied on my trades?" "I learned from my successful big brother," I mimicked his condescending tone. "Isn't that what you always wanted?" "This is ridiculous." My mother stood up. "We're leaving, and we're never coming back to this place. That's your choice," I said calmly. "But you should know, there isn't another spa of this caliber within 100 miles. And your memberships here are quite extensive. Non-refundable too." "You wouldn't dare cancel them," Ashton threatened. "Cancel them? Of course not. You're valued customers." I pressed the intercom. "James, please show my family to their scheduled treatments. The usual rooms." "Right away, Miss Freya. And," I added, "please make sure they receive their new robes. The ones with the updated logo." My mother's face tightened. "Those designer robes cost a fortune. And they're lovely, I'm sure. But they don't meet our branding requirements. Don't worry. We'll store them safely while you enjoy our new signature robes, with my name on them." "This isn't over," Ashton growled, standing up. "You're right," I agreed. It's just beginning. Oh, and Ash? Those biotech stocks you were so proud of? I made the same trades. Thanks for the tip. It really helped cover the tax lien. He froze. You learned from the best? I finished. That's what family's for, right? James appeared at the door. Your treatments are ready. My mother looked at the new robes James was carrying, each emblazoned with my logo. We don't have to stay. Of course not, I said. But you've already paid. And isn't that what you always taught me? Never waste money? They filed out slowly, defeated but seething. Only my father lingered. You planned this whole thing, he said quietly. All of it. I learned from watching you all, I replied. How to be ruthless, how to put business first, how to treat family. Something flickered in his eyes. Was it respect? Regret? But before he could speak, my mother called him from the hallway. After they left, Marissa burst out laughing. That was amazing! Did you see their faces when they saw the new robes? It's not over, Lauren warned. They'll try to retaliate. Let them, I said, watching through the glass as my family was led to their treatment rooms, each wearing a robe with my name on it. Everything they do here now just puts money in my pocket. My phone buzzed. A text from Ashton. You think you're so clever? Just wait. You have no idea what's coming. I showed the message to Lauren and Marissa. Are you worried? Marissa asked. No, I said, watching through the security cameras as Ashton paced in his treatment room, angrily typing on his phone. For the first time in my life, I'm exactly where I want to be. Ms. Freya? Anna poked her head in. The photographer is here for the website update. Should we proceed with the photo shoot in the lobby? I smiled thinking of how those photos would look on all the displays my family would have to walk past. Absolutely. Let's show them exactly who's in charge now. As I walked to the lobby, I passed the treatment room where my mother sat fuming in a robe bearing my name. Sometimes revenge doesn't just feel good. It feels absolutely perfect. 3 days after the reveal, Ashton made his move. I was in a staff meeting when Maria burst in, waving her tablet. They're trying to tank us, she announced. Your brother just posted a scathing review on every platform possible. 1-star ratings, accusations of theft, fraud, everything. I grabbed the tablet. The reviews were vicious. New owner acquired spa through deception. Avoid at all costs. Staff are complicit in fraudulent takeover. He's convinced half our regular clients to cancel their memberships, James added, checking the booking system. We've lost 30 appointments just this morning. That's not all, Anna said grimly. Local business pages are picking up the story. Family drama at luxury spa, sister's hostile takeover sparks controversy. My phone rang. My mother. Ready to give up yet? She asked without preamble. Ashton's friends are very influential in the business community. This is just the beginning. Is that why you called? To gloat? No. I called to offer you a way out. Sell the spa back to Lauren. We'll forget this little incident ever happened. I put the phone on speaker. Lauren, would you like to respond to that? Sorry, Susan. Lauren's voice was steel sharp. The spa is exactly where it belongs. Then you'll both go down together, my mother snapped and hung up. She's right about one thing, Maria said. We're hemorrhaging bookings. I turned to Anna. How fast can you put together a response campaign? Give me an hour. But, she hesitated. Maybe we should fight fire with fire? I have some dirt on your brother's business practices. No, I said firmly. We do this right. Professional. Transparent. I have an idea, James said suddenly. Remember all those client satisfaction surveys we've been collecting? The ones showing our improved services? Perfect. Anna's eyes lit up. We can create a response video. Real clients, real testimonials. Show the positive changes under new management. And I can release the financial reports, Maria added. Prove everything was done legally. My phone buzzed. Ashton again. Enjoying the reviews, sis? This is what happens when you try to play in the big leagues. Ms. Freya? A staff member appeared at the door. Your father is here. He's asking to speak with you. I found him waiting in the lobby, looking uncomfortable in his business suit. Come to add your own bad review? I asked. No, he said quietly. I came to warn you. Ashton, he's not just using social media. He's calling in favors from business associates, trying to get the health department to investigate us, the tax office to audit us. Why are you telling me this? He shifted uncomfortably. Because what they're doing, it's wrong. And what we did to you all these years, that was wrong too. Dad, let me finish. I watched you grow up being dismissed, ignored. I did nothing. But watching you these past few days, seeing how you run this place, how the staff respects you. He pulled out his phone. I've been taking screenshots of Ashton's messages to his friends, planning this attack. If you need them. Before I could respond, my mother stormed in. Charles, what are you doing here? Supporting our daughter, he said, straightening up. For once. She betrayed us. No, he replied. We betrayed her. Every day. For years. My mother's face reddened. If you do this, if you take her side, then you'll what? I interrupted. Exclude him from spa days? Write him off like you did me? You have no right. I have every right, I said. This is my spa. I earned it. And if you and Ashton want to try to destroy it, go ahead. But remember, I learned everything I know about being ruthless from watching my family. Anna appeared with her tablet. The response video is ready. Should I post it? I looked at my parents. Would you like to see what real success looks like? The video was perfect. Clients praising the improvements, staff sharing their expanded roles, before and after shots of our renovations. And threading through it all, the story of how a dedicated team and new leadership had transformed the spa. It's already getting shares, Anna reported. Positive comments coming in. My father nodded approvingly. You've built something real here. Charles, my mother snapped. We're leaving, now. He handed me his phone. Here, use these if you need to. And Freya? I'm sorry. For everything. After they left, I looked at the screenshots he'd given me. Evidence of Ashton's coordinated attack, proof of his business manipulation. Should we use them? Marissa asked, reading over my shoulder. No, I decided. We do this our way. Anna, post the video. Maria, release the financial reports. James, call our loyal clients personally. And Ashton's attacks? I smiled, watching our response video gain traction online. Let him try. Some of us succeed by building things up, not tearing them down. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from my father. Proud of you, kiddo. Always should have been. The morning sun streamed through the spa's windows as I reviewed the latest numbers with Maria. Our response to Ashton's attacks had worked better than we'd hoped. Bookings are up 40%, Maria reported. And look at this. We've got a waiting list for memberships. Nothing makes something more desirable than trying to tear it down, Lauren observed, sipping her morning tea. My phone buzzed. Ashton. I'd been ignoring his calls for days, but this time I answered. What do you want? We need to talk, he said, his voice lacking its usual arrogance. In person, please. The spa is booked solid today. I know, I've been watching the parking lot fill up. Just 15 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I looked at Lauren, who nodded. Fine, 15 minutes. He arrived looking disheveled, nothing like his usual polished self. Your response video went viral. I know. My clients saw it. My investors saw it. Do you know what it's like having people ask why I tried to destroy my sister's successful business? Actually, I do. It feels a lot like having your brother mock your career choices for years. He flinched. I deserve that. You deserve a lot more. Look. He ran his hands through his hair. I was wrong. Not just about the spa. About everything. The way I treated you. The things I said. Save it. I cut him off. I'm not interested in apologies. Is that all? No. He pulled out his phone. I posted this an hour ago. You should read it. It was a public statement on his business page. I owe my sister Freya an apology. My recent attacks on her spa were driven by jealousy and wounded pride. She built something remarkable through hard work and vision. Qualities I've claimed to value but failed to recognize in her. I'm retracting all my previous statements and urging my followers to experience the excellent service at Golden Lotus Spa for themselves. Ashton, wait, there's more. He opened his briefcase. I want to invest. Properly, legally, as a silent partner. You'd retain full control, but with my backing, you could expand. Open new locations. I stared at him. Why? Because you're better at this than I am, he admitted. You took everything I thought I knew about business and proved me wrong. And because I miss my sister. Before I could respond, my mother burst in, waving her phone. Have you seen what your brother posted? This is unacceptable. He's damaging his reputation for... She stopped short, seeing us both. Hello, Mom, I said calmly. We were just discussing business. Business? She looked between us. Ashton, you can't seriously be considering... I already have, he interrupted. And you should too. Look around, Mom. Look what Freya built while we were too busy looking down on her to notice. Just then, James appeared. Ms. Freya? The journalist is here for the business magazine interview. Send her up in 5 minutes, I said, then turned to my mother. You're welcome to stay and watch. See how a real business owner operates. My mother's face softened slightly. Your father, he's been talking about you nonstop. About how proud he is. Good for Dad, I said. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an interview. Wait, Ashton said. The investment offer? Will you consider it? I looked at the proposal, then at my brother's face, genuinely hopeful for the first time I could remember. I'll have my team review it, I said. No promises. He nodded, understanding the shift in power. That's fair. After they left, Marissa appeared with coffee. Well, that was unexpected. Life usually is, Lauren said. Speaking of which, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter transferring her remaining advisory shares to me. Lauren, you don't have to... Yes, I do. You've exceeded every expectation I had. The spa is yours, completely and totally. The journalist entered, notebook ready. Ms. Freya, shall we begin? I sat behind my desk, thinking of everything that had led to this moment, the dismissal, the planning, the revenge that had somehow transformed into something more meaningful. Yes, I said. Let me tell you about building something that matters. Later that evening, as I walked through the spa, I passed the wall of photos, my family's old promotional shots now replaced with images of our staff, our satisfied clients, our community involvement. My phone buzzed one last time. A group text from my father. Dinner soon? Just us? I smiled, typing back, yes, but this time, I'm buying. The sun set over the spa. My spa. Painting the windows. Gold. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying what others have, but building something they never thought you could. And sometimes, just sometimes, it leads to building something even better. A new understanding, a new respect, a new beginning. I turned off the lights in my office, leaving the success I'd built to rest until tomorrow. After all, I had a dinner to plan with my father.
The notification on my cousin's phone caught my eye from across the room. Historic win, law firm secures $50 million settlement in consumer protection case. My heart skipped as I watched her scroll past it without a second glance. If only they knew. I'm Danielle, and I've spent my entire life being the family's afterthought. Even now, standing in my parents' lavishly decorated living room during our annual family reunion, I can hear my father's booming voice drowning out all others as he brags about my brother. "Elias just closed another major deal." Dad's chest puffed with pride. "That's my boy, always reaching higher, following in my footsteps, just like I knew he would." I took a long sip of wine, letting the bitter liquid match my mood. The crystal glass caught the afternoon light, creating tiny rainbows on the hardwood floor, more attention than I usually got at these gatherings. "Danielle, honey," Laura, my brother's wife, sidled up to me with her perfectly practiced smile. "Still doing that little lawyer thing?" "Still doing that little lawyer thing," I echoed, forcing a smile. My fingers tightened around the stem of my wine glass. "Oh, that's nice," she said, her tone suggesting it was anything but. "You know, Elias's company just had its best quarter ever. He's thinking of expanding internationally." Before I could respond, my father's voice cut through again. "Everyone, gather round. Elias has an announcement." The family dutifully circled around my brother like moths to a flame. I hung back, watching my mother Sophia's eyes find mine from across the room. She gave me a small, apologetic smile before turning her attention to her golden child. "We've just secured a partnership that will revolutionize our market position," Elias announced, his arm around Laura's waist. "The timing couldn't be better, really. Some recent industry changes have actually worked in our favor." I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. Those industry changes were directly related to my lawsuit, but of course, he had no idea. "That's my son," Dad clapped Elias on the back. "Always making the right moves. You know, when he was just 10 years old?" I slipped away to the kitchen, needing a moment to breathe. Lisa, my best friend and fellow lawyer who I'd dragged along for moral support, followed me. "You okay?" she whispered, leaning against the granite countertop. "Just peachy," I muttered, refilling my glass. "Love watching my brother take credit for my work without even knowing it." "You could tell them, you know, right now. Watch their faces when they realize—" "Not yet," I cut her off. "The timing needs to be perfect." The kitchen door swung open, and my mother entered, looking tired. "Danielle, sweetheart, your father's asking where you went. He wants everyone together for photos." "Of course he does," I said, straightening my blazer. Heaven forbid we miss documenting another moment of Elias's triumph. "Danny," Mom started, but I was already moving past her. Back in the living room, Alvin, Laura's brother, and Elias's business partner was checking his phone. His eyes widened slightly, and he looked up, catching my gaze. For a moment, I wondered if he'd seen the news too. "Everyone squeeze in," Dad called out, gesturing with his hands. "Elias and Laura in the center, of course. Danielle, you can stand on the end there." As the family arranged themselves, I took my assigned spot on the periphery. The photographer, yes, my father had hired a professional photographer for this impromptu family gathering, adjusted his camera. "Maybe we should get one of just Elias's immediate family," Dad suggested, and something in me snapped. "Actually," I said, my voice carrying across the room, "I think I'll skip the photos. I have some work to review for tomorrow." "Oh, come now," Dad frowned. "Surely your little cases can wait." I saw Lisa tense from her spot near the window, knowing exactly which little case I'd just won. $50 million worth of little. "You're right, Dad," I said sweetly, taking my place back at the edge of the group. "Some things are more important than work." The camera clicked, capturing our smiles, some genuine, some forced. As we dispersed, I caught another glimpse of my cousin's phone, still open to the news article about my victory. Soon enough, they'd all know. But for now, I'd let them have their moment in the sun. After all, the best revenge is served cold, and mine was just about perfectly chilled. "Look what Elias made in art class today." Mom's voice echoed from 20 years ago as I stood in my old bedroom, now converted into Dad's memorabilia room. The walls were plastered with Elias's achievements, academic awards, business magazine features, and that damned macaroni art piece that somehow still held a place of honor. I'd escaped upstairs during the reunion, needing a break from the constant reminder of my second-place status. Lisa followed, as always my faithful shadow. "Is that you?" she asked, pointing to a dusty family photo tucked in the corner. I was 12, wearing braces and a forced smile, while Elias stood front and center with his debate team trophy. "Yeah," I said, picking up the frame. "This was right after I won first place in the state science fair. Dad didn't come. He was at Elias's debate competition." "Your volcano must have been impressive," Lisa smiled. "It wasn't a volcano. I developed a preliminary model for water purification in developing countries." I set the photo down harder than necessary. Not that anyone noticed. A creak in the floorboards announced my mother's arrival. "I thought I might find you up here," she said softly. "Your father's showing everyone Elias's old Harvard acceptance letter again." "Of course he is," I muttered. "Did he bring out my Columbia Law acceptance? Oh, wait, that one's probably in the trash where he put it." "Danielle," Mom sighed. "You know he's proud of you too, in his way." "Really? When was the last time he mentioned my achievements to anyone? When was the last time he even asked about my cases?" Before Mom could answer, voices drifted up from below. "Harrison, tell them about how Elias secured that merger in his first year." Laura's voice carried through the floor. "Now that's a story." Dad's booming response followed. "My boy showed them all how it's done. Natural business sense, just like his old man. Not like—" He caught himself, but we all knew what he was going to say. "Not like Danielle." "I should go check on the appetizers," Mom said quietly, retreating from the uncomfortable moment. Lisa touched my arm. "You okay?" "You know what's funny?" I said, moving to the window. "When I was 14, I told Dad I wanted to be a lawyer. He laughed and said I should consider something more suitable, like teaching or nursing." "What changed his mind?" "He didn't. I changed my own mind about needing his approval." The door opened again, this time revealing Elias. "Hey, sis, hiding up here?" "Just reminiscing." I gestured to the shrine that was once my room. "Remember when we used to play office up here?" he asked, picking up one of his old trophies. "You always wanted to be the boss." "Yeah, and you always told me girls couldn't be bosses." "Kids say stupid things," he shrugged. "But look at us now, both successful in our own ways." "Our own ways," I repeated, "some more celebrated than others." "Come on, Danny, don't be like that. You know Dad's just Dad." A commotion downstairs interrupted us. Alvin's voice carried up, excited. "Harrison, you won't believe these quarterly projections. The regulatory changes from that class action suit have opened up entirely new markets for us." My stomach tightened. Lisa shot me a knowing look. "That's my boy," Dad's voice boomed again. "Always positioning himself to take advantage of opportunities." Elias beamed. "Duty calls. Coming down?" "In a minute." After he left, Lisa turned to me. "How long are you going to let them take credit for your work?" "Until the moment is right," I said, straightening my shoulders. "Let them enjoy their celebration. Soon they'll know exactly who made those regulatory changes happen." We headed downstairs, where Alvin was showing Dad some figures on his tablet. "These numbers are incredible, Ba," Dad gushed. "Elias, my son, you've outdone yourself." "Actually," Laura chimed in, "my sources say it was some hotshot lawyer who pushed through those changes, someone from Morris and Stanley." She looked right at me. "Isn't that your firm, Danielle?" "Is it?" I smiled innocently. I hadn't noticed. The room felt suddenly warmer as Alvin's eyes narrowed slightly. He was starting to put the pieces together, but wasn't quite there yet. "Well," Dad waved his hand dismissively. "Whoever it was, they helped my boy's company flourish. That's what matters." I caught Lisa stifling a laugh behind her wine glass. The irony was almost too perfect. "To success!" Dad raised his glass, looking proudly at Elias. "To success," I echoed. thinking of the case files sitting in my office, my signature on the final settlement that had changed everything. However it comes. 3 years of my life, I whispered to Lisa as we stood on the back patio, away from the family chaos. 3 years of sleepless nights, missed holidays, and endless depositions. And they're in there celebrating like Elias orchestrated the whole thing. The memory of that final day in court was still fresh. The judge's gavel coming down, the victorious nods from my colleagues, the tears in our clients' eyes. I'd fought tooth and nail against one of the biggest corporations in the country and won. "Remember when you first got the case?" Lisa asked, pulling me from my thoughts. "You were terrified." "Objection, counselor," I smirked. I was appropriately cautious. "You were hiding under your desk when I found you. It was a strategic retreat." The sliding door opened, and Sophia, my journalist friend, stepped out. "There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you." "Hiding from my family's overwhelming pride in my achievements," I deadpanned. "About that?" Sophia lowered her voice, glancing over her shoulder. "I've been doing some digging into the ripple effects of your lawsuit. You're not going to believe what I found." Before she could continue, Laura's voice cut through the air. "Danielle, your father's asking for you. Something about wanting to hear about your, what did he call it? Your little court thing?" I shared a knowing look with Lisa. My little court thing. Right. Back inside, Dad was holding court in the living room, Elias at his right hand as usual. "Ah, there she is. Tell us about your latest case, sweetheart. Something about consumer protection?" "Actually," I started, but Elias interrupted. "Dad, you should see these numbers Alvin just showed me. The market shift from those new regulations has been incredible for us." "The regulations that came from my—" I tried again. "Your brother's always had perfect timing," Dad beamed. "Remember when he sold his first company right before the market crashed?" I caught Mom's eye across the room. She gave me that same apologetic look she'd been giving me for 34 years. "I remember," I said quietly. "It was the same week I made partner." "Oh, was it?" Dad looked genuinely surprised. "Must have slipped my mind." Lisa stepped forward, her lawyer mode activated. "Actually, Harrison, Danielle just won a landmark case that—" "Lisa," I touched her arm. "Not now." Alvin was staring at his phone again, brow furrowed. He looked up at me, then back at his screen. "Interesting timing," he muttered. "What's that?" Elias asked. "Nothing," Alvin said quickly. "Just reading about some legal news." My phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "Need to talk to you now. Your lawsuit. It's directly connected to Elias's company's sudden windfall." I excused myself to the kitchen, where Sophia was waiting. "The regulatory changes your lawsuit forced," she whispered urgently. "They didn't just hurt the company you were fighting, they created a massive opportunity for smaller firms in the same sector." "Let me guess. Firms like my brother's?" "Exactly. Your victory basically handed him a golden ticket." I leaned against the counter, letting out a laugh that was half bitter, half amused. "So I'm responsible for his latest success, and he doesn't even know it." "Danielle!" Mom called from the dining room. "We're about to cut the cake." "Coming," I called back, then turned to Sophia. "Not a word about this. Not yet." Back in the dining room, Elias was standing at the head of the table, champagne glass in hand. "I want to thank everyone for being here today. This past quarter has been incredible for us, and it's all thanks to—" "Your sister," Alvin cut in suddenly. All heads turned toward him. My heart stopped. "What?" Elias asked. "I mean," Alvin backtracked smoothly, "family support is everything, right? Even the little contributions matter." I could feel Lisa's tension beside me, knew she was ready to jump in and defend me, but I squeezed her hand under the table. "Not yet." "To family." Elias raised his glass, oblivious to the undercurrents. "To family," everyone echoed. I raised my glass too, catching Alvin's eye across the table. He knew, or at least he suspected. The pieces were falling into place, and soon the whole picture would be clear to everyone. "More cake, anyone?" Mom asked, trying to break the tension she couldn't quite understand. "Actually," I said, standing up, "I think it's time I shared some news of my own." But before I could continue, Dad's phone rang. "Hold that thought, sweetheart." "Elias, son, it's that reporter from Forbes. Everyone quiet." I sat back down, watching Dad fawn over Elias's upcoming magazine feature. The time wasn't quite right, but it was coming. "Danielle!" Sophia grabbed my arm, pulling me into the study. "You need to see this right now." She thrust her phone in front of my face, open to a breaking news article. "Anonymous lawyer behind industry-shaking victory revealed," I read aloud, my stomach dropping. "Who leaked this?" "Keep reading," Sophia urged. The article didn't name me directly, but contained enough details that anyone paying attention could connect the dots, especially anyone who, say, ran a company that had mysteriously benefited from the case. "Does anyone else know?" I asked. "Alvin's been reading it for the last 10 minutes. He keeps looking at you like you're a puzzle he's trying to solve." A knock at the study door made us both jump. Speaking of the devil, Alvin stood there, phone in hand. "Interesting reading material," he said, stepping in and closing the door behind him. "Very interesting coincidence, don't you think?" "I'm sure I don't know what you mean," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "Cut the act, Danielle. This was you, wasn't it? The lawsuit, the regulations, all of it?" Before I could respond, the door opened again. Elias walked in, all smiles. "There you are. Dad's looking for what's going on?" "Nothing," Alvin said quickly. "Just discussing some legal matters with your sister." "Legal matters?" Elias laughed. "Come on, Alvin. We've got investors waiting on the phone. Whatever small-time case Danielle's working on can wait." I saw Sophia's hand tighten around her phone. "Small time?" she muttered. "Actually," Alvin started, but I cut him off with a look. "Go ahead, Elias. Don't keep your investors waiting on my account." After they left, Sophia turned to me. "You're really going to let him keep talking to you like that?" "For now." A commotion from the living room drew us out. Laura was reading something on her tablet, her face growing increasingly pale. "Honey," she called to Elias, "you might want to see this." "Not now, dear. I'm on the phone with—" "Now," she insisted, her eyes flicking to me. I felt a small thrill of satisfaction. Laura was smart. She'd figured it out, too. "What's all the fuss about?" Dad asked, peering over Laura's shoulder at the tablet. His eyes widened slightly as he read. "It says here that a female lawyer from Morris and Stanley—" He trailed off, looking up at me with an unreadable expression. "What about Morris and Stanley?" Elias asked, finally hanging up his phone. "Nothing," I said smoothly. "Just some industry news. Nothing as important as your investor call." Lisa appeared at my side, practically vibrating with suppressed emotion. "Danielle, please, let me tell them." "Tell us what?" Mom asked, entering the room with a fresh tray of cookies. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Alvin was still staring at his phone. Laura was looking between me and Elias with growing anxiety, and Dad seemed frozen in place, the article still visible on Laura's tablet. "Well," Sophia broke the silence, journalist instincts kicking in, "it seems there's been a rather significant development in the legal world, a case that's changed the entire industry landscape. Isn't that right, Danielle?" "Is this about that class action thing?" Elias asked dismissively. "The one that coincidentally helped our company?" "Coincidentally," I repeated, the word tasting bitter. "Right. Danielle," Alvin said slowly, "how long have you been working on this case?" 3 years, Lisa answered for me. 3 years of hell, fighting against impossible odds, while everyone in this room except me treated her work like it was nothing. "Lisa," I warned. "No, they need to know. They need to understand what you—" The sharp ring of Elias's phone cut through the tension. He glanced at the screen. "It's Forbes again. Dad, they want to know more about how we positioned ourselves to take advantage of the regulatory changes. I couldn't help it, I laughed. The sound was sharp and sudden, making everyone turn to look at me. Something funny, sis? Elias asked. You could say that, I replied, meeting Alvin's knowing gaze across the room. Danielle, Mom said softly, is there something you want to tell us? I looked around the room, at Dad's confused face, at Laura's growing comprehension, at Elias's complete obliviousness to the bomb about to drop. Actually, I said, straightening my shoulders, there is. But maybe we should wait for Elias to finish his interview first. After all, I wouldn't want my little court thing to interrupt his moment of glory. The phone kept ringing in Elias's hand, but he didn't answer it. For the first time that day, his full attention was on me. Answer your phone, Elias, I said sweetly. Forbes is waiting. The tension in the room crackled as Elias looked between his ringing phone and my face. Finally, he declined the call. What's going on, Danielle? He asked, his usual confidence wavering slightly. Yes, dear, Dad chimed in. What exactly are you trying to say? Before I could answer, Alvin stepped forward. I'll tell you what's going on. Your daughter, the one whose work you've been dismissing all day, is the anonymous lawyer behind the biggest corporate lawsuit of the year. The room fell silent. You could have heard a pin drop. That's ridiculous, Dad scoffed, but his voice lacked conviction. Danielle handles small claims and minor disputes. This case was worth $50 million, Lisa finished for him, plus regulatory changes that reshaped the entire industry. Laura's hand flew to her mouth. The changes that saved our company were all thanks to your sister-in-law, Sophia confirmed, her journalist smile firmly in place. Quite a story, isn't it? Elias sank into the nearest chair. That's not possible. Oh? I raised an eyebrow. And why's that, brother dear? Because little Danielle couldn't possibly handle something so important? I didn't mean 3 years, I cut him off. 3 years I worked on this case. Every holiday I missed, every family dinner I skipped, every time you all rolled your eyes at my little lawyer thing, I was building the case that would eventually save your company. But, Dad started. But what, Dad? But you didn't notice? But you were too busy praising Elias to see what I was accomplishing? But you never thought I could do something this significant? Mom stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Sweetheart, why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened? Lisa asked sharply. Would any of you have actually paid attention? That's not fair, Laura protested. We always supported. Supported? I laughed. Is that what you call it? Just today you referred to my career as that little lawyer thing, and that was one of the kinder comments. Alvin cleared his throat. The regulatory changes from your lawsuit, they're the only reason our company survived last quarter's market shift. I know, I said quietly. You knew? Elias stood up suddenly. You knew and you didn't say anything? Like you've been saying anything about my achievements for the past decade? The room fell silent again. Dad was staring at the floor, Mom was wringing her hands, and Elias looked like someone had just told him Santa wasn't real. I need a drink, Laura announced, heading for the bar cart. Make it a double, Alvin called after her. So, Sophia said brightly, pulling out her reporter's notebook, anyone want to comment on the record about this fascinating turn of events? Put that away, I told her, but I couldn't help smiling. Danielle, Dad finally spoke, his voice unusually quiet. I don't know what to say. That's a first. Danny, Elias stepped toward me. I had no idea. I mean, I knew you were working hard, but this? But you never thought to ask what I was working on, did you? None of you did. The sound of glass shattering made everyone jump. Laura had dropped her drink, the amber liquid spreading across the hardwood floor. Sorry, she mumbled. It's just, all this time, our company's success was thanks to the person you've all been patronizing since childhood, Lisa finished. Ironic, isn't it? Dad took a step toward me, then stopped. For the first time in my life, he looked uncertain. Sweetheart, Save it. I held up a hand. I didn't do this for your approval. I did it because it was the right thing to do. The fact that it helped Elias's company was just karma, I guess." "Some karma," Alvin muttered. Elias's phone rang again. This time he turned it off completely. "I think," he said slowly, "we need to have a family meeting, a real one, where we actually listen to each other." "That would be a nice change," I said. "Danielle," Mom touched my arm, "we're so proud." "Don't," I cut her off. "Don't say you're proud now, not when you weren't interested before." The silence that followed was deafening. Everyone seemed to be processing the shift in family dynamics, the realization that the hierarchy they'd taken for granted had been built on sand. "Well," Sophia broke the tension, "I believe this calls for champagne. The good kind, not the stuff you've been serving all day." As she went to fetch the bottles, I caught Lisa's eye. She gave me a subtle nod, the kind that said, "Well done," and "It's about time," all at once. The storm had broken, but the aftermath was just beginning. To unexpected victories, Sophia raised her champagne glass, breaking the uncomfortable silence that had settled over the room. "And to the people who never saw them coming," Lisa added pointedly. Dad cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should make a toast to my brilliant sister," Elias interrupted, standing up, "who not only won an impossible case, but saved my company in the process." I nearly choked on my champagne. "Really, Elias? Now you want to acknowledge my achievements?" "Danny, I know I've been an arrogant, self-centered," Lisa started. "Lisa," I warned, though I couldn't help smiling. "No, she's right," Elias said. "I've been exactly that. We all have." Laura stepped forward, wineglass trembling slightly in her hand. "The press will want to know who was behind the lawsuit. Once they connect the dots, they'll realize that the golden boy's success came from his overlooked sister," Sophia finished, scribbling in her notebook again. "Are you recording all this?" Laura asked nervously. "Every word," Sophia grinned. "It's not every day you witness such a perfect example of poetic justice." Dad suddenly stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. "I need some air." "Running away from my success, Dad?" The words flew out before I could stop them. "That's new. Usually you just ignore it." He froze mid-step. "That's not fair, Danielle." "Fair?" I laughed. "You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when you skipped my law school graduation for Elias's corporate retreat? Was it fair when you dismissed every case I won as beginner's luck? I never meant to. To what? Make me feel worthless? To treat everything I did like it was somehow less important than Elias's achievements?" The room fell silent again. Mom was crying quietly in the corner, while Laura and Alvin exchanged uncomfortable glances. "You know what the funny thing is?" I continued, the champagne making me bold. "All those times you bragged about Elias's business instincts, his perfect timing, it was my work that made it possible. My little lawyer thing saved his company." Elias stepped toward me. "Danny, I had no idea the regulatory changes came from your case. If I'd known..." "You'd what? Actually shown interest in my career? Asked me about my work instead of talking over me?" "Yes!" he exploded. "Yes, I would have. Do you think I enjoy knowing that I've been taking credit for my little sister's success?" "Could have fooled me," Lisa muttered. Alvin cleared his throat. "The board will need to know about this. The shareholders, too." "Of course they will," I smiled. "Imagine the headlines. Company's miraculous recovery, actually sister's legal victory." "Danielle," Mom finally spoke up, her voice shaky. "We never meant to make you feel less than..." "But you did," I cut her off. "Every single day. And now..." I gestured around the room. "Now you're all suddenly interested in my work because it benefited Elias?" "That's not..." Laura started. "Save it." I held up my hand. "I don't need your belated approval or your guilty consciences. I did this on my own, despite all of you, not because of you." Dad turned back from the door. "You're right." The room fell silent once again. "What did you say?" I asked, not sure I'd heard correctly. "You're right," he repeated, his voice rough. We've all been wrong, so wrong." "Harrison," Mom whispered. "No, Sophia. Our daughter just won a $50 million lawsuit that changed an entire industry, and we've spent the whole day talking about Elias's phone calls." Elias sat down heavily. "Dad's right. We've been awful." "Terrible," Laura agreed. "The worst," Alvin added. "Well," Sophia said brightly, "this is getting good. Mind if I record?" "Sophia!" several voices protested at once. "What? This is solid gold. The overlooked daughter, the prodigal son, the family revelation. It's perfect." "It's private now," Mom said firmly. "Is it?" I asked. "Weren't you all just celebrating Elias's success publicly? Why should my victory be kept quiet?" The implications of my words hung in the air. Everyone knew that tomorrow the story would break. The anonymous lawyer would be revealed, and the connection to Elias's company would become public knowledge. "To my sister," Elias raised his glass again, his voice sincere for the first time that day. "The real success story in this family." I looked at him over my champagne glass, seeing real regret in his eyes. Better late than never, I suppose, but we all knew this was just the beginning. The real storm was still coming. "The story's breaking," Sophia announced, holding up her phone. "My editor just pushed it live." The notification pinged on everyone's phones simultaneously. I watched as their faces changed while reading the headline. "Anonymous legal crusader revealed how one lawyer's victory saved her brother's company." "They used my favorite photo of you," Lisa grinned, showing me her screen. "The one from after we won." Dad's face had gone pale as he scrolled through the article. "In a twist of karmic justice," he read aloud, "the overlooked younger sister of business mogul Elias proved to be the family's true powerhouse." "Keep reading," Sophia encouraged. "It gets better." "Sources close to the family describe a pattern of dismissive behavior toward the accomplished attorney's achievements." Laura trailed off, looking uncomfortable. "Who were these sources?" Elias demanded. "A good journalist never reveals," Sophia began. "It was me," Lisa stood up. "I told her everything, every missed graduation, every dismissive comment, every time they chose your events over hers. Someone needed to tell the truth." Mom sank into a chair. "It's all there. Everything we did, everything we didn't do." "The phone's starting to ring," Alvin announced, holding up his buzzing cell. "Business reporters, investors, everyone wants a comment." "Let them wait," Elias said firmly. He turned to me. "Danielle, I need to say something." "Save your speech, Elias. I don't need—" "No, you need to hear this, and everyone else needs to hear it too." He stood up, addressing the room. "My sister is brilliant. She's always been brilliant, and I've spent years taking advantage of her success while pretending I didn't notice it." "Elias," Laura touched his arm. "Let me finish. That company everyone's been congratulating me about, it would be bankrupt right now if it weren't for Danielle. All those regulatory changes that fell into our lap, that was her. She fought for 3 years while we mocked her dedication, and she won. She won big." Dad stepped forward. "Sweetheart, I don't know how to even begin to apologize." "Then don't," I cut him off. "Don't apologize because you have to, because it's gone public, because you're embarrassed. That's not what I want." "What do you want?" Mom asked softly. "I want you to understand what you did. Really understand it. How it felt to sit at every family dinner and listen to endless praise for Elias while my achievements weren't even worth mentioning. How it felt to win case after case and have them dismissed as cute little victories. How it felt to fight the biggest battle of my career, knowing none of you cared enough to even ask about it." The silence that followed was deafening. $50 million, Alvin whispered, shaking his head. "You won $50 million and reshaped an entire industry." "And saved your company in the process," Lisa added. "Don't forget that part." More phones started ringing. The story was spreading. "We need to make a statement," Laura said, her PR instincts kicking in. "Get ahead of this." "Oh, now you want to talk about my work?" I laughed. "Now it's important enough to discuss?" "Danny," Elias started. "Don't Danny me. You don't get to act like the proud big brother now. None of you get to pretend you've always supported me. The truth is out there now, all of it." Sophia's phone buzzed again. "Your firm's releasing a statement. They're naming you as lead counsel on the case." "Good," I said firmly. "No more hiding in the shadows. No more being the family afterthought." Dad sank into a chair, looking older than I'd ever seen him. "I failed you." "Yes," I agreed. "You did. All of you did. But you know what? I succeeded anyway. Without your support, without your approval, without your notice, I did it all on my own." "Not entirely on your own," Lisa corrected, squeezing my hand. "Some of us always knew how amazing you are." The room fell quiet again, broken only by the constant buzzing of phones. The story was everywhere now, impossible to ignore, impossible to minimize. "So," I said, looking around at my shell-shocked family, "who wants to do another family photo, this time with the actual success story in the center?" Mom burst into tears. Dad looked like he'd been punched. Elias just nodded slowly, understanding the justice in my words. "I think," Sophia said, still typing on her phone, "this is going to be one hell of a story." "It already is," I replied, watching my family's carefully constructed hierarchy crumble around us. "It already is." The truth was finally out, and there was no going back. The overlooked sister had stepped into the spotlight, and this time no one could look away. "Ready for this?" Lisa asked, straightening my blazer as we stood outside the conference room. Through the glass walls, I could see them all waiting. Dad, Mom, Elias, Laura, Alvin, and a room full of board members and reporters. The first joint press conference between my firm and my brother's company. "I've been ready my whole life," I replied, pushing open the door. Camera flashes erupted as I walked to the podium, Elias stepping aside to make room for me. The gesture wasn't lost on anyone, especially not Dad, whose eyes followed my every move. "Good morning," I began, my voice steady. "Today, we're announcing a historic partnership between Morris and Stanley Law and Wright Industries." As I outlined the details of how my legal victory had transformed the industry and saved multiple companies, including my brother's, I watched my family's faces. Mom was crying again, but this time they were different tears. Dad sat straight-backed, actually listening to every word. Elias nodded along, no longer trying to steal the spotlight. "And now," I concluded, "I'll take your questions." A forest of hands shot up. I pointed to a reporter in the front row. "How does it feel to have saved your brother's company while remaining anonymous for so long?" "It feels," I glanced at Elias, "like justice." Another reporter stood. "Mr. Wright, how did you feel when you learned the truth about your sister's role in your company's survival?" Dad shifted uncomfortably in his seat, but Elias stepped forward to the microphone. "I felt ashamed," he said simply. Ashamed that I'd spent years overlooking my sister's brilliance. But mostly I felt proud. Prouder than I've ever been of any of my own achievements. The room buzzed with excitement at his candor. "Ms. Wright," another reporter called out, "will you be taking a position with your brother's company?" "No," I smiled. "I'm quite happy where I am, leading my own team, fighting my own battles, but our firms will be working together moving forward." "As equals," Elias added firmly. After the press conference in the privacy of the boardroom, Dad finally spoke up. "Danielle, I've been trying to find the right words." "Don't strain yourself, Dad," I said, but without the bitterness that had colored my voice for so long. "No, please, let me say this." He stood up, looking older, but somehow more human than I'd ever seen him. "I spent years looking for success in all the wrong places. I was so busy watching Elias that I missed the real powerhouse right in front of me. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I haven't earned that yet. but I am asking for a chance to do better. Mom reached for his hand, then mine. We both are. Well, I said, you can start by coming to my court appearances. I have another big case starting next month. Front row, Dad promised. Every day. Even if Elias has a board meeting? I challenged. He can handle those on his own, Dad replied firmly. I want to watch my daughter in action. Elias cleared his throat. Speaking of action, Danielle, would you consider joining our board of directors? Not as an employee, but as an independent member. We could use your legal expertise. And your integrity, Laura added quietly. I looked at Lisa, who gave me an encouraging nod. I'll think about it. That's more than we deserve, Alvin admitted. Sophia, who'd been scribbling notes in the corner, looked up. This is going to make one hell of a follow-up story. Family reconciliation in the wake of legal victory. No, I corrected her. Family learns to see clearly for the first time. I like that, Mom smiled tearfully. As we gathered our things to leave, Dad touched my arm. Danielle, that photo you mentioned, the one with you in the center? What about it? Can we take it now? Not for the press, not for show, just for us. To remember this moment when everything changed. I looked around at my family, really looked at them. Dad's hopeful expression, Mom's gentle smile, Elias's genuine respect, Laura's newfound humility, Alvin's grudging admiration, and beside me, Lisa's unwavering support and Sophia's chronicling presence. Okay, I agreed. But this time, I'm not standing on the edges. No, Elias said firmly. This time, you're exactly where you belong, in the spotlight. As we posed for the photo, I realized something. Success wasn't just about winning cases or proving people wrong. Sometimes it was about giving people the chance to prove themselves right. Everyone ready? Sophia held up her camera. Ready, I said, standing tall in the center of my family, no longer overshadowed, no longer overlooked. The camera flashed, capturing not just an image, but a new beginning. One where being seen wasn't something I had to fight for. It was something I'd finally earned, and this time everyone was watching.
I stood in my sister Mallory's marble-floored kitchen, clutching a glass of wine I hadn't sipped, listening to her laugh about me to our mother. Can you believe Iris is still teaching? All that potential wasted on finger paintings and multiplication tables. I'm Iris, the family disappointment. At least, that's how they see me. While my sister hosts dinner parties in her mansion and posts photos from private jets, I spend my days teaching fourth graders how to divide fractions and believe in themselves. Darling, did you see the Porsche I bought Malcolm for his birthday? Mallory's voice carried across the kitchen island. He barely drives it, but it looks amazing in the driveway. Mom beamed at her. You two really know how to live. If only your sister would... I can hear you both, I said, finally speaking up. I'm literally standing right here. Mallory waved her hand dismissively. Oh, honey, we're just concerned. You could be making 6 figures at Dad's company, but instead, you're what? Making macaroni art. Actually, we're coding simple games in class now, I replied, but they had already moved on to discussing Mallory's upcoming trip to Monaco. My phone buzzed. A text from Grace, my fellow teacher and closest friend. How's the family torture session going? Kill me now, I typed back. The usual wealth shaming? Remember why you do this, Grace replied. You're changing lives, not just bank accounts. I smiled, thinking of Jamie, one of my students who went from hating math to lighting up when solving problems using our classroom's new programming exercises. That's worth more than any Porsche. Iris, dear, Mum called out, come look at Mallory's new tennis bracelet. 15 carats of diamonds. Malcolm really knows how to treat her right. I walked over, admiring the way the stones caught the light. Beautiful, I said quietly. You could have nice things too, Mum said, touching my arm. Your father would still welcome you at the company. It's not too late to make something of yourself. "I've made something of myself," I replied, but my voice was drowned out by the arrival of Dad and Malcolm, returning from their cigar break on the terrace. "There's my girls!" Dad boomed, kissing Mallory's cheek first, then Mum's. He gave me a brief nod. "Iris, how's the teaching going? Still enjoying it?" Before I could answer, Mallory jumped in. "Daddy, tell Iris about that junior executive position that just opened up. She'd be perfect for it." "Well," Dad cleared his throat, "the salary starts at $120,000 plus bonuses, much better than—" He trailed off, glancing at me apologetically. I took a deep breath. "I appreciate the offer, but I love what I do. My students—" "Your students can't pay for retirement," Mum interjected, "or designer clothes, or vacations, or dignity, apparently," I muttered, earning a sharp look from everyone except Malcolm, who was absorbed in his phone. The evening continued like this, a parade of subtle jabs wrapped in concern, of achievements I should envy, of paths I should have taken. But they didn't know about the late nights I spent coding, about the educational software I'd been developing for the past 2 years. They didn't know about the meetings with investors, or the way my students' test scores had skyrocketed since implementing my program. As I helped clear the dishes, Mallory cornered me by the sink. "Look, I know you think I'm being harsh, but I just want what's best for you. Don't you want to be successful?" I placed a crystal wine glass in the dishwasher, careful not to chip it. "Success means different things to different people, Mal." She laughed, the sound tinkling like her diamond bracelet. "Keep telling yourself that, sweetie." My phone buzzed again. This time it was an email from Damon, my coding partner. "Big news, call me ASAP." "I should go," I said, gathering my things. "Early day tomorrow." "Of course," Mallory smirked. "Those macaroni masterpieces won't make themselves." As I drove home in my reliable Honda Civic, I thought about success, about wealth, about what really matters. My sister's mansion disappeared in my rearview mirror, but I couldn't shake the conversation from my mind. What they didn't know was that tomorrow, while they were counting carrots and comparing country club memberships, I would be meeting with the biggest educational software company in the country. What they didn't know was that my little teaching project had caught the attention of people who saw its true value. What they didn't know was that everything was about to change. I smiled as I pulled into my modest apartment complex. Sometimes the best revenge isn't serving it cold, it's serving it with a side of poetic justice. "Have you lost your mind?" Damon's voice crackled through my phone speaker as I prepared my classroom the next morning. "Fred Wilkinson wants to meet us." The Fred Wilkinson, the guy who turned 3 educational startups into billion-dollar companies. I adjusted a student's desk while balancing my phone. "I know who he is, Damon. I'm the one who sent him our prototype, remember?" "But why didn't you tell me you were reaching out to investors?" "Because I didn't think anything would come of it," I admitted, writing the day's agenda on the whiteboard. "I sent it to 5 companies. He's the only one who responded." "The only one who matters," Damon corrected. "When's the meeting?" "This afternoon, after classes." I heard footsteps in the hallway. "Listen, my students are coming. We'll talk during lunch." Grace poked her head in just as I hung up. "You look different today," she said, studying my face. "Something happened at the family dinner?" "Not exactly." I told her about Fred's email while setting up the laptops for our morning coding session. "But please keep it quiet. The last thing I need is for this to get back to my family before anything's concrete." "My lips are sealed," Grace promised. "But Iris, this is huge. Your program could help so many kids." The first bell rang and my students began filing in. Jamie, my brightest programmer, immediately headed for his usual laptop. "Miss Iris, can I show you what I added to my game?" "In a minute, Jamie. Let's get everyone settled first." As I watched my students work, I couldn't help but smile. What had started as a simple idea, teaching coding through interactive storytelling, had evolved into something much bigger. The software adapted to each student's learning style, turning mathematical concepts into engaging puzzles and games. During lunch, Damon and I met in my classroom, spreading out our notes across my desk. "We need to be prepared," he said, running a hand through his dishevelled hair. "Wilkinson's going to want to know about scalability, market potential, implementation costs." "And I want to know if he understands what we're trying to achieve," I interrupted. "This isn't just about making money, Damon. It's about making education better." He smiled. "That's why we work so well together. You keep us focused on what matters." The afternoon crawled by. When the final bell rang, I changed into the one designer blazer I owned, a birthday gift from Mallory that she probably thought I never wore. "You've got this," Grace said, giving me a quick hug before I left. "Remember, you're the expert here. You know what these kids need." Fred Wilkinson wasn't what I expected. Instead of a suit-wearing executive, he showed up in jeans and a casual button-down shirt. He spent the first 20 minutes asking about my teaching experience and watching recordings of students using the software. "Show me how it works," he said, sitting down at one of the student laptops. I guided him through the program, explaining how it adjusted difficulty based on user responses, how it incorporated storytelling elements to maintain engagement, and how it provided real-time feedback to teachers. "And you develop this while teaching full-time?" he asked, clearly impressed. "Nights, weekends, summers," I nodded. Damon helped with the back-end programming, but the educational framework came from daily classroom experience. "That's what makes it special," Damon added. "It's not just theoretically sound, it's been tested and refined in an actual classroom." Fred leaned back in the small chair, looking oddly comfortable in the elementary school setting. "I'll be direct. I've seen dozens of educational software pitches this year. Most of them are from tech people who think they know what teachers need. This is the first one I've seen that actually understands how kids learn." My heart raced. "So you're interested?" "Very." He pulled out his tablet. "I'd like to make you an offer, but first I want to know your vision. If we scale this up, what do you see happening?" I thought about Jamie, about all my students who'd discovered they could do more than they thought possible. I want every kid to have that moment when they realize they're capable of amazing things. I want teachers to have tools that actually help them teach, not just generate test scores. I want to change how we think about education. Fred nodded slowly, a smile spreading across his face. "That's exactly what I wanted to hear." He turned his tablet toward us, showing a number that made my eyes widen. "Let's make it happen." As we left the school that evening, Damon grabbed my shoulders. "Do you realize what just happened? We're going to be rich." But I was thinking about something else. About Mallory's smirk, about my mother's dismissive comments, about my father's disappointment, about how none of that mattered anymore. "No," I corrected him, "we're going to make a difference. The money is just a bonus." My phone buzzed. Another family dinner invitation for the weekend. This time, I thought, things would be different. The familiar scent of Mum's roast beef filled the dining room as I took my usual seat at the far end of the table. Mallory was already holding court, regaling everyone with stories from her recent Monaco trip. "The yacht was absolutely divine," she gushed, gesturing with her wine glass. "Malcolm's business partner let us use it for the whole week." "Speaking of business," Dad said, cutting into his meat, "how's that junior executive position looking, Iris? Still open if you want it?" I pushed my peas around the plate. "Actually, I've been pretty busy with a work project." Mallory snorted. "What, the school bake sale?" "No," I said quietly. "Something else." My phone buzzed in my lap. A text from Fred. "Final paperwork ready for review. Meeting tomorrow at 9. "Phone's at the dinner table?" Mum clicked her tongue. "Really, Iris, you should know better." I slipped the phone back into my pocket, fighting to keep my expression neutral. The contract we'd been negotiating was worth more than this house and everything in it. But they didn't need to know that. Not yet. "Malcolm just closed another huge deal," Mallory announced. "Tell them, honey." Malcolm looked up from his phone briefly. Oh yeah, pretty big. 7 figures. "That's wonderful," Mom beamed. "You two are so successful. Iris, dear, aren't you inspired by your sister's lifestyle?" I took a sip of water. "I'm happy with my choices." "Happy?" Mallory laughed. "Living in that tiny apartment, driving that old Honda? Come on, sis, you can't be serious." "Not everyone measures success the same way, Mal." "No, but everyone measures failure the same way," she shot back. The table fell silent. Dad cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Mallory," Mum chided softly, but her heart wasn't in it. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Damon. "Stock options looking amazing. You seeing these numbers?" Another message. Mum frowned. "Is everything all right at school?" "Everything's fine," I said. "Better than fine, actually." "Oh?" Mallory leaned forward. "Did they finally give you a raise? Maybe now you can afford a new car." I gripped my fork tighter. "I like my car." "Well, I just got a new Mercedes," Mallory continued. "The interior is all custom leather. Malcolm surprised me with it last week." "That's lovely, dear," Mom cooed. "Iris, you should let Malcolm's dealer know if you ever want to look at something more suitable for a professional." "I'm good, thanks." I cut my meat carefully, precisely, channeling my frustration into the motion. "You know," Dad said, "your sister started at the bottom too. But she worked hard, made the right connections, married the right person," Mallory added with a wink. "And now look at her," Dad finished. "You could have the same thing." My phone buzzed a third time. Fred again. "Press release drafted. Review ASAP." "Seriously, what is so important?" Mallory reached across the table, trying to peek at my phone. "Hot date?" I pulled back. "Work stuff." "School work? At this hour?" Mum shook her head. "This is exactly what we're talking about, dear. You're killing yourself for nothing." The words hit harder than usual, maybe because I knew how wrong they were. I thought about the contract waiting for my signature, about the changes it would bring, about the students who would benefit. "You know what?" I stood up suddenly. "I need to go." "But we haven't had dessert," Mum protested. "I made your favourite apple pie." "Rain check," I said, gathering my things. "I have an early meeting tomorrow." Mallory rolled her eyes. "Ooh, a meeting. How important? Parent-teacher conference?" "Something like that." I forced a smile. "Thanks for dinner, Mom." As I reached the door, Dad called out, "That position won't stay open forever, Iris." I turned back one last time. "That's okay, Dad. I don't need it." Driving home, I finally let myself check the messages properly. The numbers in Damon's text made me dizzy. Fred's press release was perfect, highlighting the educational impact first, the financial details second. My phone rang. It was Grace. "How was dinner?" she asked. "Same as always. They think I'm throwing my life away." "Little do they know," she laughed. "When are you going to tell them?" I pulled into my apartment complex, looking up at my modest home. Soon I could afford any place I wanted, but that wasn't the point. "After everything's finalized," I said, "the paperwork gets signed tomorrow." "And then?" I smiled, thinking about Mallory's condescending smirk, about Mum's dismissive comments, about Dad's disappointment. "And then," I said, "we change some lives. Starting with my own." 8 figures, Damon whispered, staring at the contract on Fred's conference room table. "I mean, I knew it would be big, but this is life-changing." Fred smiled, sliding his Mont Blanc pen across the polished surface. "And that's just the initial payment. Wait until you see the royalty structure." My hand trembled slightly as I reached for the pen. One signature and everything would change. I thought about my students, about all the other students who could benefit from our program. "Before you sign," Fred said, "I want to make sure you understand what happens next. This goes public tomorrow. Are you ready for that?" I nodded, thinking about my family's reaction. More than ready. The press will want interviews. Your story, a teacher creating revolutionary educational software, it's going to make headlines. "Speaking of headlines," Damon cut in, "have you told your family yet?" "No." I signed my name with a flourish. "But they'll find out soon enough." Fred gathered the papers, handing us each our copies. "Congratulations! You're now officially millionaires." Walking out of the building, Damon couldn't contain his excitement. "We should celebrate! Dinner, drinks, buy a small island." "I have to get back to school," I laughed. "My students are presenting their projects today." "Iris, you're rich now, like really rich. You don't have to—" "I want to," I interrupted. "These kids are why we did this in the first place." Back in my classroom, Jamie was first to present his project. He'd created a game that taught multiplication through space exploration. Each correct answer moved the rocket closer to its destination. "Miss Iris," he beamed, "I added sound effects." My phone buzzed. A text from Mallory, "Turn on channel 7 now." Then another, "Is this for real?" And another, "OMG, call me." I glanced at the classroom TV, usually used for educational videos. With a knot in my stomach, I turned it on. Revolutionary educational software developed by a local teacher, the news anchor was saying. The program, which has shown remarkable results in improving student performance, was just acquired for an undisclosed sum in the 8-figure range. My students stopped what they were doing, staring at the screen where my professional headshot now appeared. "Ms. Iris," Jamie gasped, "that's you." "Is this about our coding class?" another student asked. "Are you famous now?" "Are you rich?" Grace appeared in the doorway, grinning. "So much for keeping it quiet." My phone was exploding with notifications, messages from college friends, former colleagues, and most persistently, my family. "Mum, what is this we're seeing on the news?" "Dad, call immediately." Mallory, "Seriously, what is happening?" "Class," I said, turning off the TV, "let's focus on your presentations. This isn't about me, it's about what you've created." But the excitement was contagious. Even Grace's students were peeking in through the windows. After school, Damon rushed into my classroom. "Have you seen Twitter? We're trending." "I've been avoiding looking at anything," I admitted. "How bad is it?" "Bad? It's amazing. Teachers are calling you an inspiration. Tech blogs are analysing our software, and—" He paused dramatically. 3 other major companies have already reached out about partnerships. My phone rang again. Mallory, for the 10th time. "You should probably answer eventually," Grace said gently. "I will, just not yet." I sat at my desk, looking around my classroom. "Everything's going to change now, isn't it?" "Only the things you want to change," Damon said. "You're still you, just with a much bigger platform to make a difference." My phone buzzed with a text from Fred. "Major education conference wants you as keynote speaker. Interest from school districts nationwide. This is bigger than we thought." "Iris," Grace said softly, "your family's here." I looked up to see Mallory, Mom, and Dad standing in my classroom doorway. Mallory clutched her phone, Mum looked shell-shocked, and Dad was holding a newspaper with my story on the front page. 8 figures? Mallory blurted out. "From teaching?" "From innovation," Damon corrected, stepping protectively closer to my desk. "Why didn't you tell us?" Mum asked, her voice small. I stood up, gathering my courage. "Would you have believed me if I had?" The silence that followed was deafening. "I should go," Damon said. "Early meeting tomorrow with the development team." He squeezed my shoulder as he left. Dad stepped forward, newspaper rustling in his hands. "Iris, Not here, I said firmly. Not in my classroom. Come over for dinner tomorrow. I'll explain everything then. They looked ready to argue, but something in my voice must have stopped them. Maybe it was the confidence that came with knowing I'd succeeded on my own terms. Tomorrow, then, Dad nodded. As they left, Mallory lingered in the doorway. Sister, she said, shaking her head, you've been holding out on us. No, I replied, you just never bothered to look. Fred arrived at my classroom during lunch break, just as my students were filing out. He paused to watch Jamie explaining his space multiplication game to a younger student. This is exactly why I invested, Fred said, smiling. Real results, real engagement. I gathered my things, preparing for our meeting. The kids are amazing when you give them the right tools. Speaking of tools, he pulled out his tablet. We need to discuss the rollout. 20 school districts want to implement the program next semester. My phone buzzed. Another text from Mallory. Saw you on Good Morning America. Since when do you do TV? Your sister seems persistent, Fred noted, glancing at my phone. Family taking the news well? They're coming for dinner tonight. We'll see. We walked to the teacher's lounge, where Damon was already setting up his laptop. Grace had helped us clear the space, making it look less like a break room and more like a meeting area. The development team's ready, Damon announced. We can start training teachers next month. Fred nodded approvingly. Good, because this just came in. He showed us his tablet. The governor wants to make our program part of the state's educational initiative. The whole state? I sat down, stunned. Every public school, full funding. Fred's eyes sparkled. This is bigger than we imagined, Iris. You're not just a millionaire anymore. You're about to become a major force in education reform. My phone buzzed again. Mum this time. Darling, what should we bring tonight? Malcolm's offering to bring champagne from his private collection. Your family dinner's going to be interesting, Damon smirked. Focus, I said. Let's talk about the training program. We spent the next hour discussing implementation plans, teacher support systems, and expansion strategies. Fred's experience showed in every suggestion, every potential pitfall he helped us avoid. One more thing, Fred said as we wrapped up. The Today Show wants an interview. Their education segment. National TV? Damon whistled. That's major exposure. It's not about exposure, I insisted. It's about reaching more students, more teachers. That's why you're perfect for this, Fred said. You never lost sight of the mission. After they left, Grace came in with coffee. Ready for tonight? Not even close. I showed her my phone, dozens of missed calls and messages from family members I hadn't heard from in years. Second cousins coming out of the woodwork, she laughed. Everyone wants to know how the poor teacher struck it rich. I sighed. They still don't get it. So make them understand. Grace squeezed my hand. Show them what real success looks like. The rest of the school day passed in a blur of excited students and congratulatory colleagues. As I was packing up, Jamie appeared at my desk. Ms. Iris, are you going to leave us now that you're rich? My heart melted. No, Jamie, I'm staying right here. We're just going to help more kids learn the way you do. Promise? Promise. Driving home, I thought about that promise. My apartment might be modest, but it was about to host the most awkward family dinner in history. I'd ordered catering, nothing fancy, just good food, and set up my small dining room as best I could. The doorbell rang at exactly 6. Mum, Dad, Mallory and Malcolm stood there, looking oddly uncertain. Come in, I said, stepping aside. This is cosy, Mallory commented, looking around my apartment. It's home, I replied simply. Malcolm immediately checked his phone, but the others sat down, eyeing me expectantly. So, Dad cleared his throat. 8 figures. The software is being implemented statewide, I explained. It's already improved test scores by 40% in pilot programs. But how? Mum burst out. You're a teacher. Exactly. I pulled out my laptop. Let me show you. I demonstrated the program, showing them how it adapted to each student's needs, how it made learning interactive and engaging. To my surprise, they actually paid attention. "This is incredible," Dad muttered. "And you developed this while teaching?" "With Damon's help, yes." "And now the governor wants it?" Mallory leaned forward. "Like, the actual governor?" "Every public school in the state," I confirmed. "But that's just the start." "Start?" Malcolm looked up from his phone. "There's more." I told them about the national rollout plans, the Today Show interview, the education conference keynote. With each revelation, their expression shifted from shock to something else. Respect, maybe, or understanding. "Why didn't you tell us?" Mum asked again, softer this time. I met her eyes. "Would you have supported me, or would you have told me to take that junior executive position instead?" The silence that followed was answer enough. "Well," Mallory said finally, "I guess I can't tease you about being just a teacher anymore." "No," I agreed, "you can't." But looking at their faces, I realized something. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about showing them and the world that success isn't measured in carrots or car models. It's measured in lives changed. And how does it feel to be called the teacher who changed education? The Today Show host leaned forward, her perfect smile gleaming under the studio lights. "Honestly?" I adjusted my microphone. "I'm still just a teacher who wants to help kids learn." "But you're now worth millions," she pressed. "Surely that changes things." "The only thing that's changed is our ability to reach more students." I gestured to the screen behind us, showing clips of children using our software. "Look at their faces when they solve a problem. That's worth more than any bank account." After the interview, Fred met me in the green room. "Perfect, absolutely perfect. The governor's office called. They want you to speak at the Education Summit next week." My phone buzzed. "Mallory, you looked amazing on TV. Who knew my little sister could work a camera? P.S. Mum's crying." "Your family's adjusting?" Fred asked. "Slowly. It's complicated." Back at school, a small crowd of reporters waited outside. Grace helped me sneak in through the side entrance. Celebrity teacher," she teased. "Stop it." I headed to my classroom, where Jamie was already waiting. "Ms. Iris, I saw you on TV." He bounced excitedly. "My mum recorded it." More students filtered in, each with their own version of "I saw you on TV." The excitement was contagious, but I had other news to share. "Class," I announced, "remember how we've been testing our special software?" Nods all around. "Well, starting next month, every school in the state will be using it. And," I smiled, "you all get to be peer mentors." "Really?" Jamie's eyes widened. "We get to teach other kids?" "Really, because you're the experts." The door opened, and to my surprise, Dad walked in. He stood awkwardly at the back of the classroom, watching. "Okay, everyone," I said, "time to work on your projects." As the students settled into their tasks, Dad approached my desk. "This is different from what I imagined," he said quietly. "What did you imagine?" "Honestly, chaos, bored kids, not this." He gestured to the focused students, their faces lit by laptop screens. "Dad, why are you here?" He shifted uncomfortably. "The board meeting this morning. They want to invest in educational technology. They asked if I knew anyone in the field." I raised an eyebrow. And I realized I didn't even know my own daughter was leading the industry. His voice cracked slightly. "I'm sorry, Iris." Before I could respond, Jamie called out, "Ms. Iris, can you help me with this coding problem?" "Go ahead," Dad said. "I'll watch." I walked Jamie through debugging his code, explaining each step. When he finally got it working, his whole face lit up. "See," I told Dad, "that's why I teach." "I see now." He cleared his throat. "The board wants to meet with you, not as my daughter, as an industry expert. I'll think about it. My phone buzzed. Mallory again. Dad's at your school. Mum's freaking out. Family dinner tonight. Your sister? Dad asked. She's adjusting. I showed him the message. Dinner? Your place again? Actually, I smiled, I have somewhere else in mind. That evening, I led my family into the school cafeteria, where I'd arranged for a catered dinner. The walls were covered with student projects and success stories. The cafeteria? Mallory wrinkled her nose. Really? Wait for it, I said. One by one, my students and their parents began arriving. I'd invited them to share their experiences with the software, to show my family what real success looked like. Jamie ran up first. Ms. Iris, I showed my mum the space game. She wants to learn coding too. More families approached, sharing stories of improved grades, renewed interest in learning, kids teaching their siblings. This, I told my stunned family, is what wealth looks like to me. Mum wiped her eyes. I had no idea. None of us did, Mallory admitted. Malcolm actually put his phone away, engaging with a parent about the business applications of educational technology. For the board meeting, Dad said suddenly, you should bring this. Bring them here. Show them this. Already scheduled, I smiled. Fred's handling the details. Fred Wilkinson, Malcolm shook his head. Still can't believe you landed him as an investor. She landed him because she had something real, Dad said firmly. Something valuable. As the evening wound down, Mallory pulled me aside. I get it now, sis. Why you chose this. It's pretty amazing. Thanks, Mal. But, she grinned, you could still buy a better car. I laughed. Some things never change. Looking around at my students, my family, and the lives being transformed, I realized that some things do change. Just not in the ways we expect, and sometimes that's even better. The foundation will focus on bringing technology to underserved schools, I explained to the board members gathered in my classroom, starting with 50 schools in low-income areas. Dad, sitting among his fellow board members, nodded approvingly. 2 months had passed since the software launch, and everything had changed except what mattered most. And you're funding this personally? One board member asked. The majority, yes. I'm using most of my proceeds from the software sale. Most? Another member raised his eyebrows. That's substantial. Show them, Fred encouraged from the back of the room. I pulled up the foundation's budget on the smartboard. The number made several board members gasp. That's your entire payout, Dad said quietly. Not quite. I kept enough for a down payment on a house. I smiled. A modest one. Mallory, who'd insisted on attending, actually snorted. Modest? Iris, you could buy a mansion in cash. The money's better spent here, I gestured to my classroom. Besides, I like modest. After the presentation, the board voted unanimously to partner with my foundation. As they filed out, Dad lingered behind. You know, he said, when I pushed you to join the company, I thought I was helping you succeed. He looked around the classroom. I never imagined you'd end up teaching me about success instead. My phone buzzed, a text from Grace. Emergency in the computer lab. Jamie's presentation crashed. Duty calls, I told Dad. Family dinner Sunday. Wouldn't miss it. In the computer lab, Jamie was close to tears. It won't work. The whole presentation is gone. Let's take a look. I sat beside him, aware of the board members watching through the window. Remember what we learned about backup files? His face lit up. The cloud save. Together, we recovered his work. As his presentation flickered back to life on the screen, I heard applause. The board members had come in to watch. This is what we're investing in, Dad announced to his colleagues. Not just software, transformation. Later that afternoon, Mallory stopped by my classroom again. So, she said, perching on a student desk, I've been thinking. Dangerous, I teased. Seriously, Malcolm and we want to contribute to the foundation. I stared at her. What? We've got more money than we know what to do with, she shrugged. Maybe it's time we did something meaningful with it. Before I could respond, Mum burst in waving a magazine. Have you seen this? She thrust it at me. Forbes, my face on the cover. The teacher who revolutionized education. Mum, that came out last week. I know, but I keep reading it. My daughter in Forbes. She paused. Both my daughters, actually. Mallory told me about the foundation contribution. We haven't decided anything yet, Mallory said quickly. Yes, we have. Malcolm appeared in the doorway, phone actually nowhere in sight. We're doing it. Already talked to our financial advisor. I sat at my desk, overwhelmed. You don't have to. We want to, Mallory interrupted. You showed us what matters, Iris. Let us be part of it. Mum wiped her eyes. My girls changing the world together. Speaking of changing things, Malcolm said, we should discuss the expansion plans. The governor's office called. 3 more states want to implement the program. And the Today Show wants you back, Mum added. They're calling you America's teacher. I'm still just a teacher, I protested. No, came a voice from the door. Jamie stood there with his recovered presentation. You're the best teacher. Mallory smiled. Out of the mouths of babes. Miss Iris, Jamie continued, can I show my presentation to your family? For the next 20 minutes, my family sat in student desks, watching Jamie explain how he'd created an educational game that taught fractions through pizza slicing. Mum actually took notes. This is what you saw, she said afterward, this potential all along. It was always there, I replied. Some people just needed help seeing it. Like us, Mallory admitted. My phone buzzed again. Fred with more news about expansion plans, speaking engagements, investment opportunities. But for once, I let it wait. Sunday dinner, I said to my family. Bring ideas for the foundation, but this time I'm cooking. In your modest kitchen, Mallory teased. In my classroom, I corrected, where it all started. As they left, chattering about foundation plans and future projects, I looked around my classroom. The same desks, the same walls, the same dreams, but now with infinite possibilities. Jamie poked his head back in. Miss Iris, thanks for helping with my presentation. That's what teachers do, I smiled. That's what changemakers do, he corrected, surprising me with his insight. And maybe he was right. Maybe being a teacher was always about being a changemaker. I just never expected the biggest change would be in my own family. And now, to present our keynote speaker, the governor announced, a teacher who transformed not just her classroom, but education itself. I stood backstage at the National Education Summit, adjusting my simple blazer. In the audience, I spotted my family, all of them. Dad had cleared his entire board schedule to be here. Mallory had postponed a trip to Paris. Even Malcolm was present, his phone nowhere in sight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Iris. Before stepping out, I glanced at my phone's lock screen, a photo of Jamie demonstrating our software to a group of younger students. That morning, he'd given me a card. To the teacher who showed us how to dream bigger. The applause was thunderous, but I barely heard it. Instead, I focused on the faces in the crowd, teachers, administrators, tech developers, all eager to learn how a simple classroom project had sparked an educational revolution. Thank you, I began, but I'm not here to talk about success or millions or headlines. I'm here to talk about Jamie. The audience quieted. Jamie is a student who thought he hated math, until one day he discovered he could build worlds with it, create games with it, teach others with it. I clicked to my first slide, Jamie's space multiplication game. This isn't just software, it's possibility, it's potential unleashed, and every child deserves that chance. In the front row, Mum wiped her eyes. Beside her, Mallory gripped Malcolm's hand. The foundation my family and I created has already brought this program to hundreds of schools. But today, I'm announcing something bigger. I paused, meeting Dad's eyes. Every penny of profit from our software will fund teacher training and technology access for underserved schools. Every single penny. Gasps rippled through the audience. Fred, sitting with the investors, smiled and nodded. Because success isn't measured in bank accounts. It's measured in moments of discovery, in light bulbs going on, in children realizing they're capable of amazing things. After the speech, backstage became a family reunion. Mum hugged me tight. I was so wrong, she whispered, about everything. We all were, Mallory added, but you never rubbed it in our faces. You just showed us a better way. Speaking of better ways, Malcolm stepped forward. The investment group wants to double their contribution to the foundation. Dad cleared his throat. And the board, we've voted to match it. I stared at them. That would fund every school in the country. Exactly, Mallory grinned. Go big or go home, right? A commotion at the door interrupted us. Jamie burst in, followed by Grace trying to stop him. Miss Iris, sorry, I know I'm not supposed to be backstage, but I had to show you. He thrust his tablet forward. I made a new game. It teaches algebra through detective stories. The security guard moved to escort him out, but I waved him off. Show us, I said. For the next few minutes, my family crowded around Jamie's tablet, watching as he demonstrated his creation. Mum asked intelligent questions, Dad took notes, Mallory and Malcolm offered marketing suggestions. This is better than my first coding attempts, I admitted. Because you taught me, Jamie beamed, and now I can teach others. Grace finally caught up, out of breath. Sorry, he was so excited. Don't apologise, I said. This is perfect. It is, Dad agreed. This is exactly what the foundation should be about. Not just providing technology, but nurturing innovation. Speaking of nurturing, Mum cut in, we're all having dinner at my house tonight. Jamie and Grace, you're invited too. No arguments. But first, Mallory said, champagne. I think we have something to celebrate. The foundation expansion? Malcolm asked. No, Mallory smiled, looking at me. Family, real success. Things we learned from our little sister, the teacher. Later that evening, gathered around Mom's dining table, the same table where they'd once mocked my career choice, I looked at my transformed family. Dad and Jamie discussed coding strategies. Mum and Grace exchanged teaching stories. Mallory and Malcolm debated foundation initiatives. You know what's funny? Mallory said quietly. I used to think I had everything. The clothes, the car, the lifestyle. But you had something better. What's that? Purpose. And now, thanks to you, we all do too. Jamie's voice rose above the dinner chatter. Ms. Iris, can I show everyone my new idea? It's about teaching science through virtual reality. Of course, I laughed. That's what we do here now. We listen, we learn, we grow. Together, Mum added, raising her glass, to the teacher who taught us all. Looking around the table, I realized this was true wealth, not the millions in my account or the headlines or the accolades. It was family transformed, purpose discovered, lives changed. And somewhere in my classroom tomorrow would bring another Jamie, another idea, another chance to show that success isn't about what you have. It's about what you give.
The words hung in the air like poison. You adopt at your age? My mother's perfectly manicured nails drummed against her coffee cup, each tap feeling like a hammer against my resolve. Darling, you can barely keep a plant alive. I'm Lara, and at 38, I thought I was prepared for my family's reaction to my decision to adopt. I wasn't. Mom, I've thought this through, I said, straightening my spine against the familiar floral print couch where I'd spent countless childhood hours being told what I couldn't do. I have a stable job, savings, and my own house. I'm ready. My father cleared his throat from his leather recliner. not looking up from his newspaper. Your mother has a point, Lara. Children need structure, a complete family. Which means what exactly, Dad? A husband? I caught my sister Trinity smirking from the doorway, her designer purse dangling from her arm like a trophy. Well, it certainly helps, Trinity chimed in, settling onto the armrest of the couch. I mean, Larry and I waited until we were married before even thinking about kids. It's just normal. Normal. There it was again. That word they'd been beating me with since I was old enough to have opinions of my own. I've already started the process, I announced, watching their faces shift from dismissive to alarmed. I've been approved for the initial assessment. My mother's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. You did what? Without consulting us? I'm 38, Mom. I don't need to consult anyone about my life choices anymore. 38 and single, Trinity muttered, examining her nails. That's exactly why you should consult someone. My brother Bradley chose that moment to wander in from the kitchen, mouth full of Mom's famous chocolate chip cookies. What's all the drama about? Your sister's latest crisis, Mom said, waving her hand dismissively. She wants to adopt, alone. Bradley choked on his cookie, coughing out crumbs as he laughed. Seriously, sis? Remember when you dog sat for me? That poor thing was traumatized for weeks. That was 15 years ago and your dog was already neurotic, I snapped, feeling my cheeks burn. I'm not the same person I was then. No, you're older now, Trinity said, her voice dripping with false concern and more desperate. I stood up, my hands shaking as I grabbed my purse. I didn't come here for permission or approval. I came to inform you because you're my family. But clearly, that doesn't mean what I thought it did. Lara, sit down, Mom commanded, using her this discussion isn't over voice. We're just trying to help you avoid a terrible mistake. The only mistake I made was thinking you might be happy for me. I moved toward the door, but Trinity blocked my path. We're happy when you make sensible decisions, she said. Remember that disaster with the yoga studio you wanted to open? Or the time you quit your corporate job to become a writer? Bradley added, reaching for another cookie. I have a successful marketing agency now, I said through gritted teeth, which none of you bothered to notice because you were too busy focusing on my failures. Honey, my father finally looked up from his paper. We just want what's best for you. No, you want what's easiest for you to explain to your country club friends. The words shot out before I could stop them, but for once, I didn't regret them. My mother gasped. That's completely unfair. Is it? I pushed past Trinity, who stumbled back in surprise, because I remember when Bradley dropped out of college to find himself in Europe, you called it brave. When Trinity got pregnant before her wedding, it was meant to be. But everything I do is wrong, crazy, or desperate. The silence that followed was deafening. I reached for the door handle, then turned back one last time. I'm going to be a mother. I'm going to give a child a home filled with love and acceptance. Everything I never got here. And when that happens, don't expect to be part of it. You'll regret this, my mother called after me as I stepped onto the porch. You'll see we're right. I walked to my car, my heels clicking against the concrete with purpose. Through the window, I could see them huddled together, probably already dissecting my life choices. But for the first time, their opinions felt meaningless. As I started the engine, my phone buzzed with a text from Meredith. How did it go? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Exactly as expected. Want to help me prepare for my home study? On my way with the wine and takeout, came the immediate reply. I pulled out of the driveway, catching one last glimpse of my family through the living room window. They had no idea that their doubt wasn't going to break me this time. It was going to fuel me. And what's your support system like, Lara? Miss Peterson from the adoption agency adjusted her glasses, pen hovering over her notepad. I took a deep breath, remembering Meredith's coaching from last night. I have a close friend who's been my rock through everything. She lives 10 minutes away and has already offered to be my emergency contact. And your family? the question I'd been dreading. They're not in the picture. Miss Peterson's pen stopped moving. Could you elaborate? They don't support my decision to adopt as a single mother. I forced myself to maintain eye contact, but I have a strong community outside of them. My neighbors, my colleagues, my client network, they're all incredibly supportive. She nodded, making another note. Your financial documentation is impressive. Running your own business must keep you busy. How do you plan to balance work and motherhood? I've already restructured my agency to allow for flexible hours, I explained, pulling out a detailed schedule from my folder. I can work from home 3 days a week, and I've hired 2 new account managers to handle client meetings. I've also researched several highly rated daycare centers near both my home and office. A hint of a smile crossed Miss Peterson's face. You've clearly put a lot of thought into this. My phone buzzed. Another message from Trinity. 3rd one this week. I silenced it without looking. I have, I said firmly. This isn't a whim or a midlife crisis, as some people have suggested. I've wanted to be a mother my entire life. After the meeting, I met Meredith at our favorite coffee shop. She was already at our usual corner table, 2 lattes waiting. Well, she demanded as soon as I sat down. How did it go? I think good. I wrapped my hands around the warm mug, but there's still so much ahead. Home study, background checks, more interviews. Which you'll ace, Meredith said confidently. Unlike that disaster of a family dinner last week, I grimaced. Mom's called 6 times since then. Trinity keeps texting about just wanting to talk, and even Bradley left a voicemail trying to convince me to think this through. Block them, Meredith suggested, stirring her coffee, at least until after the adoption process. You need positive energy right now. My phone buzzed again. This time it was an email from the adoption agency. My hands shook as I opened it. Oh my God, I whispered. What? What is it? Meredith leaned across the table. They want to schedule my home study next week. The reality of it hit me like a wave. This is really happening. Of course it's happening. Meredith squeezed my hand. Now, let's go shopping. That spare room needs to stop looking like a home office and start looking like a kid's paradise. We spent the afternoon at various stores, filling my cart with everything from child-proof locks to colorful bedding. At the paint store, I found myself staring at a wall of color samples. What about this one? Meredith held up a bright yellow swatch. Too intense, I said, then froze as a familiar voice carried across the store. Lara, is that you? Trinity stood at the end of the aisle, designer shopping bag in hand. Her eyes darted from me to the paint samples to the shopping cart full of child safety equipment. So you're really going through with this? She asked, her voice carrying that familiar note of judgment. Yes, Trinity, I am. I turned back to the paint swatches. Mom's really upset, you know. She cried at breakfast yesterday. Funny how my happiness makes her cry, but my pain never seemed to bother her. Trinity shifted uncomfortably. We just don't want you to get hurt. The adoption process is brutal. What if you don't get approved? What if the child has problems? What if I succeed? I cut her off. What if I prove all of you wrong? Is that what really scares you? That's not fair. Neither is trying to sabotage my dream because it doesn't fit your narrow view of family. Meredith stepped between us, holding up 2 paint samples. I think the sage green would be perfect, Lara. Calming, gender neutral, great for any age. Trinity opened her mouth to say more, but I turned away, focusing on the colors. After a moment, I heard her heels clicking away. Thanks, I murmured to Meredith. Anytime. Now, about this sage green. That evening, as I sat in the empty spare room surrounded by shopping bags and paint samples, my phone lit up with a new email. My heart stopped when I saw the sender, the adoption agency. With trembling fingers, I opened it, reading the first line over and over. We're pleased to inform you that we have a potential match we'd like to discuss. I pressed the phone to my chest, tears streaming down my face. Somewhere out there was a child who might become mine, who might fill this room with laughter and life, and no amount of family drama could take away the joy of that possibility. Her name is Mia, Miss Peterson said, sliding a photograph across her desk. She's 6 years old. My hands trembled as I picked up the photo. A small girl with curly brown hair and bright eyes smiled back at me, missing her front tooth. Something in my chest tightened. She's been in foster care for 2 years, Miss Peterson continued. Her birth parents' rights were terminated last year. She's bright, creative, and according to her current foster mother, loves art and storytelling. She's beautiful, I whispered, unable to take my eyes off the photo. There are some challenges. Ms. Peterson's tone grew serious. Mia has trouble trusting adults due to her past experiences. She'll need patience, consistency, and possibly therapy. I understand. I finally looked up. When can I meet her? The next week flew by in a blur of preparation. Meredith helped me finish painting the bedroom, and we spent hours arranging furniture and hanging artwork. I was putting the final touches on a reading nook when my doorbell rang. Coming, I called, wiping paint from my hands. I opened the door to find Trinity standing there, looking uncomfortable. Before you close the door, she said quickly, I just wanted to tell you something important. I crossed my arms, waiting. Mom's been talking to her friends at the country club, Trinity said. She mentioned your situation. And Mrs. Harrison, you remember her, right? Her husband's on the board of several children's charities. She said single-parent adoptions often end in disaster. And Mom's worried you might not be able to handle it. She's considering calling the adoption agency to express her concerns. The world tilted for a moment. She wouldn't dare. She's just trying to protect you. Get out! My voice was barely a whisper. Lara, please. Get out! I shoved the door closed, my hands shaking so badly I could barely turn the lock. I called Meredith immediately, my voice breaking as I explained what happened. That witch! Meredith hissed. Listen, I have an idea. Remember my friend from yoga? She runs a support group for adoptive parents. Come with me tonight. The support group met in a cozy community center. 8 people sat in a circle, sharing stories and advice. A woman named Sarah was speaking when we arrived. My parents didn't support my decision either, she was saying, but now, 3 years later, they can't imagine life without their granddaughter. That's assuming they ever meet my child, I said, surprising myself by speaking up. My mother's threatening to sabotage my adoption. The group's facilitator, Rachel, leaned forward. Unfortunately, that's not uncommon, but agencies are used to dealing with unsupportive family members. They care about the potential parent's capabilities, not external opinions. Focus on what you can control, another member added. Document everything. Keep records of any threats or interference. The agency will want to know you can protect your child from toxic influences. I left the meeting feeling stronger, clutching a list of resources and phone numbers. That night, I wrote a formal letter to the adoption agency, documenting my family's behavior and my plans to maintain boundaries. The next morning, I met with Ms. Peterson again. We received your letter, she said. I appreciate your honesty about the situation. It actually demonstrates good judgment, recognizing toxic relationships and being willing to protect a child from them. Relief flooded through me. So this won't affect my chances? On the contrary. Now, about Mia, would you like to schedule your first meeting? 3 days later, I sat in a bright playroom, my heart pounding as footsteps approached the door. It opened, and there she was, smaller in person than I'd imagined, holding tight to her social worker's hand. Hi, Mia, I said softly. I'm Lara. Would you like to draw with me? I brought some special markers. She studied me carefully before nodding, slowly making her way to the table where I'd set up art supplies. I like purple, she whispered, reaching for a marker. Me too, I smiled. Should we draw flowers? For the next hour, we drew together, her confidence growing with each picture. She told me about her favorite books, her stuffed elephant named Trunk, and how she wanted to learn to ride a bike. "Time to go, Mia," her social worker said eventually. Mia looked at me, then at her drawing. After a moment's hesitation, she pushed it across the table to me. "It's you and me," she explained, pointing to two stick figures holding hands under a purple sun. "Can I see you again?" I blinked back tears. I'd love that, sweetheart. That evening, I sat in Mia's future bedroom, holding her drawing and ignoring another call from my mother. The room was ready. I was ready. And somewhere in this city, a little girl with a missing front tooth had drawn us together under a purple sun. My phone buzzed with a text from Miss Peterson. "Mia asked when she can see you again. How's Thursday?" I smiled, typing back an immediate yes. No amount of family interference could dim the joy of this moment. Their threats had only made me more determined to create the loving, accepting home that Mia and I deserved. "And this is where you'd sleep," I said, leading Mia into her potential bedroom. It was our fourth visit, and the first time she'd been allowed to see my house. Her eyes widened at the sage green walls and the reading nook filled with stuffed animals. "Is that a unicorn?" She pointed to the sparkly plush toy sitting in the window seat. "It is. Would you like to meet her?" Mia nodded eagerly, running over to grab the unicorn. Her social worker, Miss Peterson, smiled from the doorway. "This is going very well," she whispered as Mia explored the room. "But there's something we need to discuss later." My stomach tightened, but I kept my smile in place as Mia showed me how the unicorn could fly. After Mia left with her social worker, Miss Peterson stayed behind. "We received a concerning phone call," she began, settling onto my couch. "A woman identifying herself as your mother expressed some strong opinions about your ability to parent." My hands clenched into fists. What did she say? "Nothing that changes our opinion of you," Miss Peterson assured me. "But she mentioned something about your sister having additional information. Trinity, is it? Let me guess. Trinity's been talking to her country club friends again? She suggested you have a history of unstable behavior and poor decision-making." I laughed bitterly. "You mean like starting my own successful business? Or buying a house at 35? Or spending 2 years preparing for adoption?" "Lara," Miss Peterson leaned forward, "we trust our evaluation process, but I need to know, is there anything else your family might try?" Before I could answer, my phone rang. Bradley's number flashed on the screen. "Speaking of family," I muttered, declining the call. "My brother's probably been recruited for their campaign now, too. Maybe you should talk to him," Miss Peterson suggested. "Clear the air." After she left, I stared at my phone for a long time before calling Bradley back. "Finally," he answered. "Look, we need to talk about Mom and Trinity. If you're calling to defend them, actually, I'm calling to warn you. They're planning something stupid. Trinity's been collecting evidence of your supposedly unstable lifestyle. Old social media posts, that time you quit your job, some dating history stuff." My blood ran cold. "What kind of dating history? Remember that guy you dated who turned out to be married? They're trying to spin it like you knew about his wife. That's ridiculous. I was the one who reported him." "I know that," Bradley sighed. "Look, I've been a jerk about this whole adoption thing, but what they're doing, it's not right. Trinity's jealous, Mom's controlling, and they're both terrified of looking bad at their precious country club." I sank onto the couch, my mind racing. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're my sister, and because I saw Mia's picture on Mom's desk. She's a cute kid. She deserves better than to be a pawn in Mom's social games." Tears pricked at my eyes. "Thanks, Bradley. Don't thank me yet. Just be prepared, okay?" After hanging up, I called Meredith and the support group facilitator, Rachel. Within an hour, they were both at my house, helping me compile documentation of my family's interference. We need to get ahead of this, Rachel said, reviewing my files. Letters from clients proving your business success, character references, bank statements showing financial stability, and screenshots of their threats, Meredith added, pulling up Trinity's messages. Look at this one. Mom knows people who can make sure you never get approved. That's basically admission of attempted sabotage. My phone buzzed with a text from Ms. Peterson. Mia asked if she can bring Trunk to meet your unicorn next time. Looking at that message, then at the pile of evidence we were building, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about proving my family wrong anymore. This was about Mia, about protecting her from the same toxic dynamics I'd grown up with. I need to make a call, I said suddenly, stepping into the kitchen. The phone rang twice before Miss Peterson answered. I need to tell you everything, I said, about my family, about growing up with their manipulation, about why I'm so determined to give Mia a different kind of life. And then I need to know. Can you help me make sure they can't interfere? Come to my office first thing tomorrow, she replied. Bring everything you have. We'll handle this together. That night, I sat in Mia's future room, holding the unicorn she played with. On my phone was a new message from Trinity. Mom's just trying to protect everyone. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I blocked her number, then my mother's, then every flying monkey they might send my way. Looking around the room at the love and hope built into every detail, I knew I was done letting them write my story. Tomorrow, I would fight for Mia. And this time, I wouldn't be fighting alone. Congratulations, Lara, Miss Peterson beamed, handing me the final approval papers. You're officially Mia's mother. My hands trembled as I signed the documents. 2 months of intense scrutiny, background checks, and fighting off my family's interference had led to this moment. Mia sat beside me, swinging her legs and clutching Trunk, her beloved stuffed elephant. Can I call you Mommy now? She whispered. I pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo. You can call me whatever makes you comfortable, sweetheart. I want to call you Mommy, she said firmly, wrapping her small arms around my neck. Meredith was waiting outside with balloons and a welcome home banner. Mia's eyes lit up at the sight. Are those all for me? You bet they are, kiddo. Meredith handed her a purple balloon. And wait until you see what's at home. We drove back to find our neighbors had decorated the front yard with streamers and signs. Mia bounced in her car seat, pointing at everything. Look, Mommy, they made it pretty for us. Us. The word made my heart soar. Inside, Mia ran straight to her room, where Meredith had set up a small welcome party with cupcakes and presents. As she explored her new treasures, my phone buzzed with a text from Bradley. Mom found out about the finalization. She's on the warpath. Heads up. I showed the message to Meredith, who immediately went into protective mode. I'll call Rachel from the support group, she said. We need to plan that adoption party before they try anything else. Party? Mia perked up, frosting on her nose. An even bigger party, I explained, to celebrate you becoming my daughter. Would you like that? Can I invite my friends from school? Of course. And we can have games and cake and... The doorbell rang, cutting me off. Through the frosted glass, I recognized my mother's silhouette. Meredith, can you... On it, she said, taking Mia's hand. Hey, sweetie, want to see the special surprise in the backyard? Once they were out of earshot, I opened the door just enough to block the entrance. What do you want, Mom? Is that any way to greet your mother? She tried to peer past me. I heard the adoption was finalized, without even telling your family. You lost the right to be involved when you tried to sabotage it. We were trying to protect you, and now you've gone and made this rash decision. Mommy? Mia's voice came from behind me. Can we have pizza for dinner? My mother's eyes widened at the sight of Mia, who had somehow slipped back inside. Oh, she breathed. She's beautiful. Yes, she is, I said coldly. And she's my daughter. My family. The family I chose, who chose me back. But we're your family too. You can't just... Mommy? Mia tugged at my sleeve, her voice small. Is she making you sad? I knelt down to her level. No, sweetheart. She can't make me sad anymore. Why don't you go help Aunt Meredith set up for pizza? After Mia skipped away, I turned back to my mother. You need to leave. Lara, please. The country club is having their annual family day next week. Everyone's asking about you, about the adoption. How will it look if what? If your single daughter successfully adopted a child despite your best efforts to stop her? If she's happy without your approval? If she throws an adoption party and doesn't invite her biological family? My mother's face paled. A party? But we should be there. We're her grandparents. No, I said firmly. You're strangers who tried to prevent her from having a mother. Now leave, before I call the police. I closed the door on her protests, my hands shaking, but my resolve stronger than ever. You okay? Meredith appeared beside me holding her phone. I've got Rachel on the line. She says we can have the party at the community center next Saturday. They've got a great space for kids. From the kitchen, I could hear Mia giggling as she looked through pizza toppings. Book it, I said, and make it big. I want bouncy castles, face painting, everything. Let's show everyone what real family looks like. Already on it, Meredith grinned. Rachel's bringing the whole support group. Your clients want to come too. They've been following this journey for months. Mommy, Mia called. Can we have pineapple on the pizza? Coming, sweetie, I called back, feeling lighter than I had in years. And yes, we can have any toppings you want. As I walked toward my daughter's voice, I deleted the angry voicemails already piling up on my phone. Let them rage. Let them scheme. They couldn't touch us anymore. We had a party to plan. Please, Lara, just hear me out. Trinity's voice crackled through my phone speaker. Mom's a mess. She can't sleep. She's crying all the time. We just want to be part of Mia's life. I continued hanging streamers across the community center's ceiling, keeping the phone pressed between my ear and shoulder. Like you wanted to be part of my life when you were collecting evidence against me? That was a mistake. We were wrong. Wrong about what exactly? About me being unstable? About single mothers being unfit? About adoption being a desperate last resort? All of it, Trinity's voice cracked. I saw the party invitation on Rachel's social media. Everyone's talking about it. The whole country club knows we're not invited. Ah, there it is. I stepped down from the ladder. This isn't about Mia at all. It's about your reputation. No, I mean, look, can't we just start over? Mom will apologize. She'll do it publicly at the party if you want. Meredith walked in carrying boxes of party favors, raising an eyebrow at my expression. Trinity's begging, I mouthed, rolling my eyes. The party's tomorrow, I said into the phone. And you're right, everyone will be there. My clients, my friends, my support group, Mia's teachers, her friends from school, everyone who supported us when you were trying to tear us down. We're family. No, you're people who share my DNA. There's a difference. I watched Mia through the window as she played on the playground with her friends during the rehearsal. My real family is out there, helping my daughter test the bouncy castle to make sure it's perfect for tomorrow. I hung up before Trinity could respond, just as Mia came running in. Mommy, Jake says his mom is making 3 different kinds of cupcakes for tomorrow. Is she now? I scooped her up, marveling at how natural it felt after just 2 weeks. Well, what's your favorite kind? Chocolate. No, vanilla. No, wait. The door opened and Bradley walked in looking uncomfortable. Uncle Bradley, Mia squealed, wriggling free from my arms. I froze. She'd met him briefly last week when he'd stopped by to drop off a housewarming gift. A peace offering, he'd called it. Hey, Squirt, he said, ruffling her hair. Those are some cool sneakers. They light up, want to see? Maybe later, kiddo. I need to talk to your mom first. Meredith appeared as if summoned. Hey, Mia, want to help me sort the goodie bags? Once Mia was occupied, Bradley turned to me. They're planning to show up tomorrow. Mom, Dad, Trinity, the whole circus. They wouldn't dare. They would. Mom's convinced herself she's the victim here. She's been telling everyone you're keeping her grandchild from her, painting herself as this heartbroken grandmother. Of course she has. I rubbed my temples. What about you? Are you their spy now? No, he said firmly. I'm here because I was wrong too. Seeing you with Mia, seeing how happy she is, I get it now. And what they're planning to do tomorrow isn't right. What exactly are they planning? Mom's got this whole speech prepared about forgiveness and family unity. She's going to make a scene, try to force you to either accept her apology in public or look like the bad guy for refusing. I looked over at Mia, happily sorting candy with Meredith. She has no idea what she'd be walking into. Everyone here knows what they did. The support group, my clients, they all witnessed their attempts to sabotage the adoption. I tried to tell her that, but you know, Mom, once she has an idea, then I'll handle it, I said, pulling out my phone. Rachel, remember that security team you mentioned? Book them and call the police non-emergency line. Let them know we might need support tomorrow. Bradley whistled low. You're really not messing around. No, I'm not. This is Mia's day. I won't let them ruin it. Need another set of eyes tomorrow? I could help watch the doors. I studied my brother's face, seeing genuine regret there. You'd stand against Mom? I'd stand with my sister and my niece. He pulled out his phone, showing me texts from our mother. Look, I've been documenting their plans. If they try anything, you'll have proof it was premeditated. Mia's laughter echoed across the room as she discovered light-up bouncy balls in the goodie bags. Okay, I said finally, but one wrong move. I know, he smiled sadly. I've got a lot to make up for. Let me start tomorrow. As Bradley left, Mia ran back to me, face glowing with excitement about tomorrow's party. I hugged her close, breathing in her familiar scent. Let them come, I thought. Let them try to ruin this. They had no idea how fiercely I would protect our happiness now. The community center buzzed with laughter and music. Mia twirled in her purple party dress, face painted like a butterfly, showing off her light-up sneakers to her friends. The bouncy castle bobbed with jumping children, while parents chatted around decorated tables. They're here, Bradley's voice crackled through the walkie-talkie. Mom, Dad, Trinity, and about 6 of their country club friends. I pressed the talk button. Security's been notified? Already on it. They won't get past the front desk without an invitation. I watched Mia playing pin the tail on the unicorn with her friends, completely oblivious to the drama unfolding outside. Rachel appeared beside me, touching my arm. Your mother's demanding to speak to the manager, she said. Want me to handle it? Before I could answer, Meredith rushed over. They're causing a scene in the lobby. Your mother's crying about being denied access to her granddaughter. I've got this, I said, straightening my shoulders. Keep Mia occupied. In the lobby, my mother stood in her designer suit, mascara running down her cheeks as she waved papers in the security guard's face. These are my rights as a grandmother, she was saying. I have lawyers. Mom. My voice cut through her theatrics. Stop embarrassing yourself. She whirled around, Trinity and several well-dressed women flanking her. Lara, how dare you hire security to keep us out? We're family. No, I said calmly, loud enough for her audience to hear. Family doesn't try to sabotage an adoption. Family doesn't collect false evidence to prove someone unfit. Family doesn't threaten to call child services over a single mother providing a loving home. One of her country club friends gasped, That's not, we were trying to protect you. Trinity stepped forward. By lying to the adoption agency? Bradley emerged from his post by the door. By spreading rumors about Lara's mental health? Bradley, Mom hissed, you're supposed to be on our side. I'm on the side of truth, he said, and the truth is, you're here to save face, not to support Lara and Mia. We have a right to be here, Trinity's voice rose, Actually, you don't. Rachel appeared with a police officer. This is a private event on private property. You weren't invited. Officer, my mother turned on the waterworks. My granddaughter isn't legally your granddaughter, I interrupted. You made sure of that when you tried to prevent the adoption. I have documentation of every threat, every attempt at interference. Would you like to see it? The officer stepped forward. Ma'am, you need to leave willingly, or we'll have to escort you out. This isn't over, Mom said, grabbing her designer purse. You'll regret shutting us out. No, Mom. The only thing I regret is letting you make me doubt myself for so long. As security led them out, one of the country club women lingered. Laura, she said softly. I had no idea. They told us such different stories. Of course they did. I smiled sadly. Feel free to stay for the party. See the truth for yourself. Inside, Mia ran up to me, covered in cake frosting. Mommy, look what Jake's mom made. I knelt down, wiping frosting from her chin. Is it good? The best. Can we open presents soon? In a few minutes, sweetheart. The party continued, filled with genuine joy and celebration. Mia opened presents surrounded by friends who cheered each gift. My clients shared stories of watching my journey to motherhood, and the support group members spoke about their own paths to creating families. During the cake cutting, Bradley pulled me aside. They're gone, he said, but Mom's already posting on social media about being cruelly excluded from her granddaughter's life. Let her, I shrugged. Everyone who matters knows the truth. Mommy, Mia called, come make a wish with me. I joined her at the cake, where she insisted on holding the knife together. What should we wish for? She asked. We've already got everything we need, don't we? She looked around at the party, at the faces of people who had supported us, believed in us, loved us. Yeah, she grinned. We do. Later, as the party wound down, Mia fell asleep in my arms, still clutching her new stuffed unicorn. Meredith helped clean up while Bradley gathered the presents. You know, he said, watching me with Mia, this is what family really looks like. I looked at my sleeping daughter, at my friends who had become family, at my brother, who had chosen truth over loyalty. Yes, I said softly, kissing Mia's forehead. This is exactly what family looks like. Outside, I could hear my mother's car finally pulling away from the parking lot. But for the first time, her departure didn't leave an ache. Instead, I felt only peace, holding my daughter in a room full of love that no amount of social status or manipulation could touch. And then the princess realized she didn't need the mean queen's approval anymore. I read from the storybook Mia and I had created together, because she had built her own kingdom filled with love. Just like us! Mia snuggled closer in her reading nook, clutching Trunk and her party unicorn. Just like us, I agreed, closing the book. The doorbell rang, followed by Meredith's signature knock. Special delivery! Mia raced to the door, throwing it open to reveal Meredith holding a large envelope. Is it from the court? I asked, my heart racing. Meredith nodded, handing me the envelope. The restraining order decision came through. My hands trembled as I opened it. After the adoption party, my mother had escalated her campaign, showing up at Mia's school and trying to introduce herself as Grandma. The final straw was when she attempted to contact Mia's former foster family for dirt on our situation. Well, Meredith pressed. I scanned the document, relief flooding through me. Granted, full protection order for both of us. What's that mean, Mommy? I sat on the couch, pulling Mia onto my lap. It means the mean queen from our story has to stay far away from our kingdom. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Bradley, carrying a box. Found these while cleaning out Dad's garage, he said, setting it down. Thought you might want them. Inside were photo albums and childhood mementos, my art projects, school awards, writing contests I'd won, things I thought had been thrown away years ago. Dad kept them, Bradley explained. In his private filing cabinet. Mom never knew. Look, Mommy, baby you. Mia pointed at a photo of me at her age. Dad asked me to give you this, too. Bradley handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter and a check for a substantial amount. Dear Lara, I read aloud, I was wrong. I let your mother's fears control our family for too long. This money was meant for your wedding, but I think starting your family deserves it more. I'm proud of you. Love, Dad. He wanted to come today, Bradley said, but Mom's watching him like a hawk since the restraining order. Is Grandpa mean too? Mia asked, looking worried. No, sweetie. I hugged her close. He's just a little lost right now, but maybe someday. The doorbell chimed once more. This time it was Rachel with several members of the support group, carrying supplies for our weekly meeting. Hope you don't mind, Rachel grinned. Everyone wanted to see your new kingdom. Soon the house was filled with chatter and laughter. Children played in Mia's room, while parents shared stories and advice in the living room. Sarah, from my first support group meeting, was showing pictures of her daughter's recent dance recital. My parents finally came around, she told me. It took 2 years, but seeing how happy we were, they couldn't deny it anymore. I don't know if mine ever will, I admitted, but I'm okay with that now. Mommy, Mia called from her room, can we show everyone our special book? The group gathered around as Mia proudly displayed our homemade story. Each page showed our journey, from the day we met, to the adoption party, to building our new life together. And this is my favorite part. Mia pointed to the last page where we'd drawn our kingdom, our house surrounded by friends, Bradley, Meredith, and all the people who'd supported us. Mine too, I said, watching her beam with pride. Later that evening, after everyone had gone home and Mia was getting ready for bed, my phone buzzed with a text from Trinity. Mom's telling everyone you've turned Mia against us. Says you're poisoning her mind with lies. I'm sorry I ever helped her hurt you. I deleted the message without responding. From Mia's room came the sound of her singing the goodnight song we'd created together. Ready for stories, Mommy? I walked into her room, now decorated with photos from the adoption party and artwork she'd created. On her bulletin board hung the purple sun drawing from our first meeting. Can we read our book again? She asked, patting the space beside her on the bed. Of course. I settled in next to her, feeling the rightness of this moment. Once upon a time, there was a princess who didn't need a prince. Or a mean queen, Mia added. Or a mean queen, I agreed, because she discovered that real magic comes from building your own kingdom. With love, Mia finished, throwing her arms around my neck. I love you, Mommy. I love you too, sweetheart. Outside, the world could say what it wanted. In here, in our kingdom built on choice and love rather than obligation and judgment, we had everything we needed. The greatest revenge wasn't in proving them wrong. It was in being happy anyway. Again? Mia asked hopefully, holding up our book. Again, I smiled, turning back to the first page. Once upon a time,